Okay, everybody, welcome to episode number 36 of Tackling Tacos, a fishing podcast. I feel like I say this every week, but very much so this week. We are excited for this podcast, for this video podcast, and a quick little announcement that's not in our notes and I don't have written down. Quick little this just in.
Breaking news.
Yeah, I was trying to, I sounded like I was making like a beat, but I was trying to do like Morse code.
Cool. Should I have dropped a beat while you were doing that?
That was weird. Don't say that
box.
again. Yeah, don't say that again. But this just in, we threw some, what do you say? Just talking to other people who are doing the same thing we're doing, video and audio podcasts. We will be dropping all of our podcasts on Taco Tuesdays at 5 a.m. So both like the MP3, which is just like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all those different podcast platforms, and YouTube. For the longest time, I thought that we would drop them separately because you don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. Like some people are going to watch it, now they're not going to listen, and vice versa. But they're really pretty separate crowds, I think, is sort of the conclusion we've come to. And so every week, like this one, they'll come out at 5 a.m. on Taco Tuesday. So this will be December 19th that we'll drop this bad boy. But we're really excited for our guests. We're really excited for this podcast. And we're really excited because Lola is here for the first time in a few weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome back.
Hello. Thank
Welcome
you.
back.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Well, wait, is this the cheered one? Hold on.
I don't know. It's going to be crickets.
Oh,
Nice.
Got it.
Thank you.
yeah, the
Thank
sound
you so
effect
much.
guy. Okay, sorry.
COVID just took over our lives. So that was
Yeah,
stupid.
dude.
It was really awful. I hated missing the episodes. I hated feeling like garbage.
Yeah.
So Gus got it first.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I mean, of course I'm going to get it. He was
Yeah,
like
Mama's
sleeping.
gonna get it.
He was
if the baby
sleeping
has
on
it.
me.
Yeah.
And yep, sure as shoot. I tested and I had it. And then Jordan was like, nope, I'm good.
I was doing good, man.
I'm
I was
good.
rolling at first. I wasn't getting it. I wasn't feeling sick. And then I was at work and on a Monday, she's at home, dead as a doorknob. And
Yeah.
Gus came out of it really quickly.
Like a day and a half. He had a fever for 2 days, was feeling kind of yucky, down and out. And then he was okay.
Which
sorry,
is
keep
great
going.
it's great that he was feeling better,
Yeah.
but like just consider like if you have a parent who's feeling completely under the weather and a baby who was and then now is scooping up out of it, that's not a great combination,
Yeah.
you know. And
Because
so,
you can't, and he's not even 2 yet. And
Yeah.
so like you just want to lay around and there's only so many like shows you can watch and many.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It got
was
really
rough.
difficult.
And
And I
so-
was like achy and chills
Yeah.
and it was just really terrible. And this was so hard for me. But I text Jordan and I was
Right.
like, honey, I need you to come home
from work.
And I felt like such a loser, but I couldn't.
But no,
I
mean, what
could
are you gonna
not
do? Yeah,
take
so then
care
I come
of
home
myself or
to take
Gus.
care of Lola, to take care of Gus, just to be like healthy guy. And then
Yeah.
I wake up Tuesday like,
It was the middle of the night. He was like,
oh yeah,
and
middle of the
I was
night. I was like
"No!"
shivering. And yeah, so if you watched last week's episode with the Big Bass podcast, shout out.
Bwah, bwah,
You
bwah.
haven't made that noise.
Shout
in a while,
out.
so
Yeah, it's
shout
been a
out to
while.
Ken and Terry from Big Bass Podcast. That was like an awesome 2.5 hour long podcast conversation.
I was
And you
sleeping.
could probably like
Sorry, guys.
track my vocals going from like, hey everybody, welcome to Tackling Tacos, to the end being like, all right, well, positivity is worth the effort. Like, I mean, I was scooping down pretty bad during that entire recording, and I'm drinking water every 5 seconds. I got off like just so unbelievably unprofessional, got off of camera like 3 times, like off the mic, like muted the soundboard to go up and like go to the bathroom to like blow my nose, to get cough drops and to get more water. I think I went through like 5 cups of water. And that was life at the cabin for the last week, but we're finally,
Yes, that was long, but here we are.
I'm
Hello.
happy to announce. It's weird, I think, really, because like when it first all dropped like a bunch of years ago, like it was as if COVID was going to kill everyone. And then it was like 30 days to slow the spread. And then that didn't happen. And now it's just sort of a part of our,
I have friends that don't even test anymore.
Yeah, now
like
it's
they're
just like a
like,
part of
well,
kind of
we
our
just treat it like a
culture.
cold
Yeah,
and
it's
we
like a
don't
really
go
heavy
around
cold.
people. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
But that was it. And now we're coming out of it. We're doing
So I'm
better.
still a little throat cleary. I'm very sorry.
And like, shout out to our guest who we have coming on in a second. He must be important because myself and Lola are coming to you from Wisconsin, and then Nate is in Iowa, but all three of us are diehard Packers fans. And so we're choosing this human over the Green Bay Packers right now, which is pretty big. So I hope he feels loved, even though he's not a Packers fan. His team scored 3 points yesterday, which is not super impressive, but
that's all right.
But they won. They won.
That's
a W
good.
is a W, I guess.
They made history though, right? So that's it's got to count for something.
How did they make? What did they do?
Well, I think it was the first time they had ever gone into the fourth quarter, or maybe second time they've ever gone into the fourth quarter scoreless. And the
scoreless against scoreless or something. And
and the Raiders had never done it. Yeah, so it was pretty funny.
It was rough, dude. It was, and I mean, you can't really super talk bad about the Vikings because they're on their like 19th string quarterback, and so were the Raiders, and like it was just a mess. And I'm
glad everyone's getting a chance to play.
Thanks, Mom. All right, Nate, hit us with that social and stuff. Let's keep her moving.
Yeah, Tackling Tacos on all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, where you can find this podcast and some of our last few that we've done in a row, which is pretty fun to be able to record, have them on Spotify and all the other podcasting platforms, as well as having them on YouTube. I really like that. I'm a YouTuber.
Yeah, you're a vision
podcast. Yes
guy.
Even if it's at points where I'm just listening to it, solely listening to it, I still go to YouTube for whatever reason, no idea. But I like that for I like that for us, and I'm glad we're been able to do that here the last few podcasts. So stoked for sure.
Yeah, so like it's weird right now in podcast land as this drops December 19th. It has not been snowy. It's not been super cold here in Wisconsin, but like Lola and I live right on a lake in Strom, Wisconsin, and it's frozen enough, but there's like open water sections. And my struggle lately has been, I'm not a huge ice fisherman. I'll do it. I like it. It's cool.
I love it.
Lola really likes it, which is interesting because she hates being cold. But I have been flirting so bad. The lake is fed by this little kind of, I would call it like a big creek, small river. They call it the Beef River.
It's called Beef
the Beef River. But like where that comes in, it's wide open. And where I like to launch my boat is in this little campground that connects to the beef. And I've been flirting so bad with like just backing up the boat and just breaking through the ice. But I know that when I do, I'm going to hit a thick patch and it's going to come straight through the hull, like straight through the fiberglass.
Past the launch again, and it's still, I don't know. There's still ice.
I've walked out on it like a couple feet and felt it like break in. And I'm like, oh, I could totally break through this with my boat. And then just go out there and just throw jerk baits until my arms hurt, and like, I know they'll be in there. And if you head upriver, like it's completely wide open on the beef. The Beef River is wide open, but I don't know. It's been a real debacle. It's been a weird,
people
like,
out on the ice when it's like melty. And sorry, that freaks me out.
Early ice is like a good time to catch fish through the ice, but it's also a good time to catch a coffin, just to roll through and be done. Like last week, last week we already talked about this. I can't remember.
What?
Anyway, last week where we live, there's dudes out on the ice, and where they were was like 10, 11, 12 feet deep, and it's right near a spillway. And I'm like, dude, that's not thick. And if you go through, like, you're like, call it, dude. Like, it's over. It ain't worth it, man. Like, crappies are tasty, but they're not worth it.
I mean, maybe it is worth it.
I got a couple buddies that are, they run up and down like the prairie, river section all the time, and they say like right at that dam where they see like guys standing on the ice fishing in the open water all the time.
That's
no
crazy.
Way.
Yeah.
No way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the homie Steve Jonasy, the musky stud, I posted something on social about like, do you fish when it's cold out still and whatever? And he was like, yeah, man, until the baits bounce, like until you cast and they bounce off the ice. And it showed his musky boat like just covered in like a half foot of snow. I'm like,
that's crazy. So yeah, this is our last podcast before Christmas.
Oh my gosh, it's exciting, but it's like scary Christmas. As a parent with 55 children,
honestly,
it's like hard, and like saying like Christmas just makes my wallet hurt.
I literally made a spreadsheet so I could keep track of the gifts for our kids, their stocking gifts. Hopefully they're not listening because yeah. They do a secret Santa between the 6 siblings. And it just, I'm like, wait, I was trying to simplify and now I'm just doing, I'm just throwing money. But like the joy.
Yeah, well, plus it's like we're
Oh.
fooling ourselves, dude, because I work at Shields, and so everything's like cheaper. That's like if you got like some low calorie Oreos, you know what I'm saying? And so you're like, well, these are low calorie, so I'll eat 4 times as many. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm getting a discount at Shields, so we might as well get a whole bunch more stuff.
Yeah.
Like to add
It's
up to what we
dangerous,
spent before.
But the nice thing about Shields is it's such nice stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, oh, we're just getting a good deal and it's like junky stuff.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. Maybe that was dumb.
I have
however
you want. Let's
COVID
just
brain.
let's just spend
But
it
anyway,
up,
our
dude.
kids are gonna have a nice Christmas. It'll be good.
Yeah. What about you, Nate? You done shopping? You ready?
No, not done at all. Gotta keep on the hustle.
So are you part of the shopping thing? Does your wife do most of it? Do you help wrap? How does that go at your house?
Yeah, so she does the majority of the shopping. I probably lend a hand a good, twice.
That's good.
Maybe
That's
3
good.
times
Ever?
per trip. So.
It's like
No, just like a trips per Christmas.
Oh, okay.
She'll probably take 7 or 8 trips. So buy a
Yeah.
couple things here, a couple things there, whatever, and I'll lend a hand a couple of those trips with maybe pushing a cart or carrying a bag. So
yeah, what do you?
But yeah.
Does your wife listen
I'm
to this
a rapping
podcast? I
machine.
can't imagine she does, right?
No.
She doesn't listen. No. Okay, cool.
She
What
doesn't,
would
she
you get her
shouldn't listen to any
something?
podcast.
Okay. Did you get her anything?
Yeah.
What'd you get her?
Yes. I bought her a bunch of stuff for her birthday, and
Okay.
I think I didn't get the stuff that she actually wanted.
Oh shoot!
So Christmas is like birthday redo.
It's like a redo.
Exactly, yeah. But
Perfect.
that couple of the biggest things she wants is like we just set up our bedroom down here in the basement. It's really big and quite nice. And she wants like a vanity and a nice chair and a mirror. So I bought all that stuff and that'll be.
Are you gonna have it like set up?
No, absolutely not. No,
Oh,
I will.
Nate, I was like
go
smiling,
the full thing,
like waiting
dude.
for you to.
Field of dreams, go the distance.
But here's the thing: is like, when am I going to do that? Like, she doesn't fall asleep till like 3 in the morning. 4 in the morning.
You do it at 3:15.
So I'm gonna have to wake up at 5 and try to.
No, you just drug her the night before.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, you just drug her and then you build a vanity.
Is that how
I need her to wrap presents?
Yeah, that's it. Nobody listened to that. That was not real advice.
Gosh,
yeah,
get that out of here. And then does she wrap the gifts, or do you help with that?
Yeah, he said he's a wrapping machine. Right?
Oh, I didn't hear that part. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a wrapping machine.
Okay,
I thought you meant like wrapping.
No, that's her, not me.
Oh,
the hands. Got the wrapper hands.
Black guy.
Yeah, of the 2 black dudes on this podcast.
No, but she really enjoys rapping, so I kind of leave that to her. If she needs help, I'll help in. But
that's how she is. Yeah, she's good at it.
I'm really good. My presents always look super clean. I'm really meticulous about my folds and all that good junk. But I don't enjoy it.
I love wrapping presents.
I got to sit on the ground. Legs,
I do. I have to sit on the ground for sure.
Have to.
Ugh.
I don't enjoy the whole bit. So
yeah. Well, real quick before we bring on our guest, Mr. Rich of Hellabass, which I'm so excited to talk to this dude. I've been seriously digging on his stuff for years now. I'm not even sure how I got turned on to his podcast. It very well may have been one of those like listening to XYZ podcasts. And then it's like, you may also like, which I don't usually pay attention to, but I actually think that may have been it. I'm not sure. Anyway, but we're excited to bring Rich in. But before we do, this is so huge, man. We're recording this before and it'll launch after our littlest girl, Lucy, is her birthday, December 15th. And so, Lucy, happy birthday. We love you so much. I can't believe you're turning 6.
She keeps saying that. She's like, Dad, I'm going to be 8.
Yeah, she's going to be 6 on the 15th. And so we love you. Happy birthday, Lucy. I love taking you fishing. I love taking you outside. I like being around you. You're super weird. And you're the only one in our house that likes our dog. And so that's pretty great. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Lulu. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Heck yeah. That's that's awesome. But yeah, like you said, tonight we got Mr. Hellabass on the
Yeah.
podcast. And yeah, we've been fans of his for a while.
Yep.
Really stoked to have him. I think it's just his YouTube alone. He's
Yeah.
got over 13,000 followers, which is
Crazy.
It's pretty awesome. You know,
That's
he
a
does live streams. Yeah, does live stream, podcasts, posts fishing videos. He does it all. He really kind of hits all of the niches.
Everything. Every social media, everything.
Exactly. And he does it all really well, whether it's Instagram or, whatever. He's, putting the shorts together that are going crazy nowadays. And, that's, we're stoked to have him. He's, a tournament guy, so he likes to fish tournaments. He does that whole bit, just like we do. So, I think we've got a lot to talk about. So we're definitely stoked to have him on the show. So,
all right, ladies and gentlemen,
let's bring him in, get him in here.
Rich from Hellabass. Hey,
what's going on, everybody?
Hey.
I don't know if I can live up to that intro. Thank you.
Oh man, you definitely can. No, you can.
Well deserved for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, I don't know. I said this just a second ago in the intro, but I've been listening to your stuff for years. And I think the first time I listened to one of your podcasts, I think I was almost like thrown off because it was just so raw. It was you, and it might have been what's homeboy's name? Teal Bass Galaxy. Is it Aaron
Teal? Yeah,
because he does
talking
he
about
still
bass boats.
Yeah.
That was before he had his podcast come out. He was working on it, and I think he may have had a couple, like his first show with Sobe and stuff might have been recorded at the time.
Okay.
I don't think he had officially launched it at that point.
Yeah, because you guys were talking bass boats, but you were like responding to all these questions that were coming through on like the live stream. And I remember like I had never really listened or watched yet. And I typed in a question and you guys like responded to it right away. And I was like, whoa, this is wild. This is like very authentic. Like there's no room here for like pretentious or kind of fake. And so, yeah, man, we're really pumped to have you on. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that is the one thing that I feel like maybe I do a little bit different is really make the audience part of the show.
Yeah,
the live show.
Like that.
I really try. Now, as it's gotten bigger and more people watch and more live, it's hard to like get every question in.
Sure,
but I do like there are a lot of live streams now that turn into podcasts, and they do touch on a few viewer questions, but I really like to try to make it like it's usually like, oh, now at the end of the show we'll answer, here's a few questions, whereas I like to really make it like almost the audience drives the show. I'll have a couple like bullet points or talking points that we want to touch on, but like a lot of times the audience, the questions they're asking steers the show.
Yeah. Even like the most recent podcast I was listening to it on my way home from work, it almost like forces you excuse me. It almost forces you to go to the video because they're responding to questions that we can't see if we're only listening.
Sure.
Like they'll be like, oh, that's a good point, Tim.
Sometimes I forget
what's a good point?
MP3 audience, and then I forget to like read the question.
Right.
So put it up for the guest to read, and so that's something we could probably improve on.
I meant that as a compliment. Yeah.
Helps out for me because I'm the guy on YouTube.
Yeah, you're the walk.
I watched the beta unboxing with you and Bateman the other night.
Sure.
So that was good. So you got some gems in there.
Do you go by Nate on YouTube or do you?
Yeah. Just Nate Conklin on YouTube. Yep.
Okay. All right.
He's like, I'm gonna look for you.
Yeah. That was you pop in a question, like, oh, it's that.
Right. Yeah. That guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. That guy.
So you're traveling for work right now. What do you do for work? Do we know this? I don't think we know.
As little as possible.
Okay.
No, I'm actually a director for a supply chain and packaging consulting company.
Okay.
That sounds legit.
Yeah, sounds important.
Very important.
Which a lot of people are surprised that I have a legitimate full-time job with all this content that I try to push out. And
I mean, really, that's why
gotta be so
when you're
hard.
like, oh, I'm going to be traveling for work, I was like, he does a lot. Like, this is a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Okay, so for anyone that doesn't know, who are you? What's Hellabass? Tell us more.
Yeah, Hellabass is just, I don't know. It kind of stems from like, I guess I'm a little bit older, but like back in the, I don't know, 2000s, you had to have like a username.
Yeah.
Like, right. To be on like forums and message boards and like Bass Boat Central and all that type of stuff. And I played volleyball in college, and like hella kill was like a term like that was thrown around, and so like somehow that like a kill, and then like hella means like super great, awesome, right? And then then like when I started, like I've always been into fishing since I was like a kid. Like my dad was in a bass club, and so like I've been practicing with him in tournaments since I was like 5, and then started fishing in the adult club when I was 14. But anyway, so I've always been into it. But then like when I started participating in these fishing type forums, it was like, well, I'm going to do Hellabass. That, I don't know. That's cool. That's kind of short.
I like that.
And I kind of dabbled in some YouTube stuff, maybe 10 years ago, back when like it would have been smart to go all in. Like,
man, seriously,
when John B and Perrick and guys like that were going hard, and like, it was maybe a little more wide open.
Yeah.
I dabbled a little bit and then kind of went away from it. And then maybe like 4 years ago, I got back into it hard, like in 2019.
Yeah.
So I've always had kind of the Hellabass kind of social handle user type stuff.
Sure.
And that was the name of the channel. But 4 years ago, I just started to get like serious about it again. And then just shortly after that, like I got into it like spring. Like I really went hard back into the fantasy fishing. I'd done some podcasts and some things with some other guys back in the day, a Fantasy Fishing Insider podcast and stuff. And they kind of got out of it. They weren't serious. And so I wanted to get back into that. And then I kind of decided to refocus on it when I had a regional tournament that started in April into like 2019 out in Guntersville, and started recording that spring and trying to like, okay, this year I'm really going to like do it. Can I call up interceptions that Love throws live on the podcast?
Oh, no.
He's had some terrible throws.
He's been off tonight,
that's a fumble and a pick. Sorry.
Oh my gosh! Come on! Come on!
I mean, yes, you can update us, I guess.
Yeah, but it's a good thing they're playing the Giants, who couldn't beat themselves. But we'll see what happens.
Sorry,
anyway,
got distracted there. But I decided to go back hard into it.
Mean.
And then towards the end of 2019, that's obviously when the first bout of COVID started, and that's when I started live streaming.
Oh,
it's kind of a twofold. One, I had hit the 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, but I hadn't hit the watch hours, and I wanted to get monetization.
Sure. Yep.
So live streams was a good way to get watch hours.
Right.
But I found myself, especially at that time, and I still do, but it was a great way to connect with people and have conversations about fishing.
I like that.
That we were missing at that time because of all the weird rules and restrictions.
Right.
Like it was like, are boat ramps open? Are we supposed to have weigh-ins?
So
like there was all this weird stuff. But then I got to like hang out and talk to people, and that really filled a void that was missing for me at the time.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed it. And back to that point of making it about the audience and the community. That's where it started. And so I've kept that true until now.
Oh, that's cool.
And I've always fished tournaments through that whole time, but I really got serious about 4 years ago about intermixing the two into YouTube.
Huh.
What was the regional event you were doing on Guntersville?
That was a Bass Nation Central Regional.
Bass Nation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. I think like Nate was saying, kind of your little intro spiel, you seem to do a lot. Like it seems like you have a lot of irons and a lot of fires, whether it's social media, even like your YouTube stuff, which we kind of have some questions specifically to that and later. But I feel like we could go fishing tournaments. You also seem a lot like us, like an absolute tackle nerd, like a tackle junkie. Like I'll listen to podcasts with you and like whether it's Baitman or whomever, and you'll bang out like specific lures, like even some like kind of specific JDM-ish stuff in color codes and whatever. And I'm like, okay.
He's like, my heart.
Yeah. Because like, there's not too many people that you can really have those convos with. Like dudes will be like, oh yeah, I really like Hellabass. I'm sorry. I really like Mega Bass jerkbaits. And you're like, oh really? What color? And they're like, oh, like that purplish one with like the bones on the side. And you're like, oh, come on, dude. So I think we could go a lot of different directions with this. So I think what we'll do though, just for the sake of keeping it sort of in order, we'll talk tacos first because we love tacos.
Tacos.
I don't know that anybody doesn't like tacos. If they do, they can't be a friend of mine. And then we'll jump off into our brief little kind of goofy. It's kind of stupid, but it's kind of fun. Our little we call it one of your favorites. It's like rapid fire, but it's not like this or that. It's like one of your favorite. This, one of your favorite, that, one of your favorite, blah, 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 blah. So taco questions. Let's go.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
So back to that point, I was thinking about this. Like,
Uh-oh.
if somebody got on the show and said, "Well, take it. Tacos are okay. They're really
Yeah.
not my thing." Would you just be like,
Done.
I'd be like,
End
and
transmission.
recording.
"Yeah,
just
like
remove them.
I don't think I could trust somebody that didn't like a taco."
Right?
No,
Like,
dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you like a serial killer or what's
Yeah.
Like, what's
going
wrong
on?
with
Like,
you? Mm.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
so
So we're all
yeah,
on board. That like,
so, we had Jay Yellis on, and he's just the friendliest dude. And I do this sort of stalkery thing sometimes, where I look up where somebody lives, and if it's sort of small townish, like we did this with Gussie, we did it with Jay Yellis
And Pete
I f-
Mena.
and Pete Mena. We look
Yeah.
up like local taco spots and then ask them if they've been there. And with Jay Yellis, I didn't really know because he's got such a different vibe than most of the people we have on this show. And I was like, have you heard of Super Oscar's Mexican food? He's like, oh yeah, man, they got the best soft tacos and blah, blah. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, even Jay Yellis is a taco fan. He did call cilantro parsley, but like, I'm gonna give him a pass because he's Jay Yellis. And like, he's allowed to get away with that, you know?
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
that was a
fun.
legend exemption to make that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was Jordan Lee,
Exactly.
but in a far less important way. Yeah.
So speaking of local spots, do you have a local favorite spot? You know, where you live up yonder?
Yeah, the probably the Mexican place we go to, which they have tacos, but we kind of dabble in because there's a restaurant that's kind of a small local chain, family chain in the cities. It's called Teresa's.
Okay.
It was like one of the only restaurants when I moved into the town of Lakeville, like 20 years ago. That was like
okay,
and it stood the test of time. So I do get tacos there, but like I also get like all the other, arroz con pollo and the molcajete and like all the other
to
like
that.
yeah.
That's pretty good accent too.
Yeah, that
dude.
was good.
I took some 8th, 9th grade Spanish. Yeah,
I can tell
it's paying
I can
off,
tell.
dude. It's paying dividends. Yeah, just for this podcast.
Yeah, that was really good. So, are you like a flour shell or a corn?
Oh, that's a
I
good
said
one.
shell.
Yeah,
We've been married a long time. A corn tortilla or a flour tortilla, or are you like a hard shell guy?
I prefer corn in general.
Okay.
Not that I don't like flour. I feel like the corn is a touch healthier.
It is. It seems a little bit more real.
Yeah. And I do like a crispy shell. Like it depends, right? Like if I'm getting like my Taco Bell fix,
yep,
I'm going crispy. But that's like a different kind of taco fix than going for street tacos. But I would prefer and I think as long as you can get a quality corn tortilla, because I feel like
sometimes it's like dry and weird.
Yeah, they're like these dry, rubbery corn tacos. That
they fall apart.
Tortilla shells that I can't really get down with. But if you can get a good one, and I've identified like the ones at the local grocery store that are the good ones, and we buy them in like 50 pack bags.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
You just have them on hand all the time.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like but if you get the good ones, I don't even feel like you have to like double them up.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Heat them up in the frying pan, warm them up a little bit. And I'm a big fan of like making all leftovers into tacos or quesadillas.
We do the same thing.
Absolutely. Dude. Yeah, that's the greatest thing about a taco. It's a freaking edible food holder.
Yeah.
Just stuff whatever in there. There's no rules. It's awesome. Yeah.
Like if I don't know what to do with dinner, if there's something in the fridge with cheese and some protein and leftover, if I make it into a quesadilla or a taco, my kids will eat it.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. For our oldest daughter's birthday, I used to do this super hood thing back in the day where I would make macaroni and cheese quesadillas.
But now he does them all fancy.
Yeah, now I do them all fancy with like real cheese and like sour cream and whatever and like spicy ranch and whatever. But yeah, you could just stick whatever in there, dude. It works.
Yeah, so good. So you like to cook?
Yeah.
Or is it just cook leftovers?
No, I definitely pull my weight in the kitchen at home, whether it's in the kitchen or out on the pellet grill or the big green egg or whatever. I like to dabble.
Dope, dude. Heck yeah.
I like that. So you're a Minnesota guy. Do you make like perch or walleye tacos?
So the best tacos are pike tacos.
Okay.
Oh.
That was out of left field.
So I will give credit.
Pike, right?
Yeah. Give credit to my father-in-law.
Okay. Expound.
So when I was dating my wife, Laura, you try to like be in good graces, right? And like he was always like, so like they would bring back fish from like the cabin, and the first time they ever fried fish, it was like northern pike. And I was like, I don't know. Cause like you grow up with that stereotype.
Yeah.
for a lot of people that like northern pike are like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're a good sport fish, but they're not table fare, and they're a
Yeah.
nuisance,
The
and they're
Y
slimy,
bones
and they're
Yeah.
gross, and the bones and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But I ended up eating. I was like, this is pretty good. Like, I like instantly converted. Like, this is good.
Yeah.
I honestly think that northern pike, when caught out of clean, cool, deep water,
Yeah.
is better than walleye.
It
Walleye
could
is
be.
it's good, but walleye doesn't have a lot of flavor.
The
Walleye
flavor,
tastes like
yeah.
what you season it.
Yeah.
Pike
Yeah.
actually has a unique flavor, and
Hmm.
it's obviously like if I'm on the Mississippi River, Prairie du Chien, and the August catching out of duckweed in a foot of water, I ain't eating that pike.
Right on a
But
Right.
like,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
like out of cool, clean spring, fall water,
Yeah.
I'll take that pike. And we need to start the movement, and it's eat a pike, save a jackhammer. I'm
Oh
probably
my
gonna make a
gosh.
T-shirt
What?
at some point.
Okay, so one of our sponsors is a company called Giltech. They make some
Okay.
absolutely filthy swim jigs. Like we were using these
Sure.
things way before we got like sponsored by them, and we designed a T-shirt. I don't think it's gotten made yet, but we designed a shirt that said like "Eat a pike, save a swim jig" forever ago, because it was the exact same concept. I remember Nate is the first dude that got me onto swim jigs, and I think at the time he was really, really into dirty tackle, dirty swim jigs, whatever. And I remember one time we were pre-fishing for a derby, and he had to lose. I'm talking about 5, 6 in the pre-fishing period alone, just getting bit off by pikes like left and right. And so that was always like something sort of in the back of our mind. So yeah, dude, I'm completely agreeing with you. Let me hit you with this follow-up, Rich. Are you a fillet out like the whole side of the pike and then like get the Y bone out, or do you do that one weird like spine cut where you get that strip off the top of the back, or how do you do it?
Yeah, depends on what the latest YouTube video I watched.
Okay.
Was.
All right.
That's the nice thing about a pike is like you don't have to be perfect. You're still going to get a good chunk of meat out of it. So
yeah,
like
you can get quite a
taking
bit.
that top back piece off and you cut that into strips, it makes a really good tacos.
Hey, come on, we got to get on the lake.
Yes,
dude.
we do.
Every episode we have of this stupid podcast.
Oh my god!
Sorry, it's not stupid. I always just end up so hungry afterwards, dude. I don't think I've ever had pike in a taco, and I agree with you. I've said that for a long time, that pike are slept on, either because of the slime or they do kind of smell. Not as bad as muskies, but they smell. And then the Y bones are a real pain in the patooter unless you know what you're doing, because you don't want to be like eating like a quail and spitting out bird shot while you're trying to chew through it, getting the bones stuck in your teeth and junk. But
that sounded really gross. I'm not so hungry anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my last outing last year, my boat's been down this fall, which is a whole other subject. But like November 12th, it went from like 70 degrees at like noon to like 30 degrees at 5 o'clock. But I went out and I caught quite a few pike, and I had like one of them like took it super deep.
Yeah.
And like it was in his gills, like he wasn't gonna make it. So I threw him in the live well, and then I like boxed 2 more, and like had corn tortillas. I like flayed it, and like I just like blackened it with like some Cajun seasoning, and like garlic, salt, pepper, lime, and then it was like really simple, like maybe just a couple strips of avocado, a little bit of fresh cilantro, some lime juice.
You're making it sound like, it was just
small,
this,
yeah,
but it's
that's
so awesome.
Yeah.
And then like toasted corn tortillas, and they were just like,
that sounds
and the
so
season.
Yeah.
And they're getting those 3 pike. We're not getting my jackhammers or jigs or anything next week.
Yeah. It is a jackhammer than a jig for sure. You're talking $17 versus like $5, but either way is frustrating. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
do your part, people. Eat pike.
Eat a pike.
Do your part.
Yeah. And I will say too, another quick pike thing. When you get like a bigger pike, like a 28, let's say, or something, or like a hefty one, to me, and Gussie said this too about eating walleye. When you get bigger walleye, when they get kind of shoulders on them, those fillets get really thick. And when you fry them, they're not bad, but they do get a little firmer, and like pike, when they're thick and you fry them just right, they stay real flaky.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but yeah, you're right. The meat is different. It might arguably be better. Like if there was no Y bones, man, our homie Jeff used to always say that if bluegills reached 15 pounds, nobody would fish for bass, because they do like that huge, big death circle thing when they're coming up and they fight super hard and whatever. Like if pike didn't have Y bones, walleye might just be forgotten about. I don't know. All right, Nate, sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just going to ask what like what's your idea or concept on like authentic? Is that something that's kind of overrated, or do you,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
kind of believe in the whole
Yeah.
like the whole authentic Mexican taco deal? Or
Yeah, I mean, I could appreciate it, but I'm not like hung up on it. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'll probably eat Taco Bell once a week, and there's nothing
Attaboy.
authentic about Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah. It is funny too when people comment on authentic. I'm like, come on. Like, number one, who cares if it tastes good? And number two is like, who are you to comment on whether or not it's authentic?
Yeah.
Like, did you grow up in Jalisco? Like, do you know what
Yeah.
authentic Mexican food is?
Yeah. Also, I wish that Taco Bell and Taco John's were combined. Do we all agree that Olay's with
Olay's
Taco
with
Bell
Taco Bell
would be just
dope.
mwah,
Yeah. Yeah. Chef's
chef's
kiss.
kiss?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is pretty solid.
Yeah, that would
The
be
Taco
good,
Bell
man.
app is really where it's at. Like,
Okay.
Oh,
their app is like next level.
Dang, I don't have it. I'm going to download
why?
it and get
Wait, why
fatter.
is it so great?
Yeah, what's so good about it?
You're literally getting like free points. Like I'm getting like free tacos like a couple times a week,
Oh,
and they have all
snap,
these
dude.
deals in there, and then you
What?
can like customize your tacos. Like if you want to add onions
Wow.
or like subtract or add things, it's all like just.
Wow.
Then they have constantly have like the $5 box in there, which is a really good value.
Man, you guys heard it here first.
Like if
or
you
maybe
don't
not,
like
but-
if you don't like those stupid little cinnamon twists, you can sub nachos
yeah.
and cheese for like 15 cents.
Wow.
Oh my!
Yeah, I would definitely. Who's
gosh.
not making that sub,
Get in
dude?
the app right now.
Yeah, download that thing for sure.
Use code Hellabass. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, he's just pumping in his like title sponsor there real quick.
I wish
but
that would be an ideal sponsor.
that would be a
That would
crazy
be-
sponsor. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Get a Taco Bell wrap like you like outside of your
on your
boat
boat.
looks like a Doritos Locos taco, like the texture and junk. I'd do it, dude. Shoot.
I will
Yeah, that'd be
say, like
hilarious.
we have plenty of Taco Bells in the Minneapolis area,
Yeah.
but driving from Columbus to Dayton to where I am in Ohio,
Yeah.
there's almost a Taco Bell at every exit here. Like the
Really?
density is unreal up here
Wow.
for Taco
Okay.
Bells.
Yeah, I
They
mean
love
that.
their
Yeah,
Taco Bells
that's like
there.
that's how it was too when I lived in Texas. Like going from, like Austin or whatever, like south heading towards Houston, and it sounds like it's a joke, but it's kind of not. But there was more like Zaxby's and Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell like every single exit. And I'm like, that's why Houston is like the third fattest city in America.
Oh my
Like there's just
gosh.
like super heavy food everywhere you
Yeah.
look, dude. Hey, Rich. So one of our buddies, he has this weird thing where he won't eat tacos before or like during a derby because he's afraid of what it might do to him on the water. Is that stupid? I feel like that's stupid.
You
Um,
take anti-diarrheal.
Yeah, but I'll,
So
I'll
you
go
would-
for it though. I'll go for the tacos though. Like he's not even like
I'm just
proactively
saying,
fighting
if
back
he-
against it.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be stupid for
No.
you because
So
you're
two
taking
things.
stuff.
Yeah, I don't care.
I won't
Yeah.
necessarily avoid tacos before a tournament, but I will avoid super spicy.
Okay.
Oh.
Like I will
That's
tame them
right.
down. I definitely don't want to go like heavy jalapenos, heavy like red
Yeah.
spicy stuff because
That's
that definitely can
That'll
derail a
rock your
tournament day.
guts. Yeah.
I did have
Yeah.
a buddy who would take Imodium before tournaments just to
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
lock
what I do.
himself
Yeah,
up
that's
so he
what he
wouldn't
Yeah,
have
does.
that's
to
what I
drink.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
yeah.
that's healthy, Jordan.
No, it's
He
probably
used to
not.
take
But
it
like,
too much.
no, but like it may not be healthy. But like, dude, I've had like, are we talking about? We talk
It's
about it.
happening.
I've had issues
We all
like
have
out
kids.
on the water, like either during a tournament, pre-fishing a tournament, whatever. And like, that's not a super fun deal, especially like where we live near Eau Claire, Wisconsin. A few of the derbies, like the lakes we have them on, are like multi-purpose lakes. Like they're not just fishing lakes. And there's
Like
3,000 people.
soda.
Yes, that's the lake I'm thinking of
You
right
know,
now
there's
that I
fishing, there's
absolutely had to use the
pooping, there's
restroom in.
tubing.
So like, yeah, there's people like jet skiing and like
You're like,
tubing
"Oh,
and
excuse
whatever,
me."
like wakeboarding. There's a house on every square inch of shoreline. And here I am, like, I'm just going like poop off the side of the boat. Like, yeah, I don't care. I know it's probably not healthy and I'm not like addicted to it. I don't take it for fun.
No, you
Yeah.
don't.
All right. So there's our fun side
So you
rail
like
combo,
spicy.
but not before a derby.
Okay.
I don't. I like spicy. Spicy doesn't like me as much as I've gotten a little older.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That does make
I
sense.
don't handle it as well. I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like me so much.
Yeah, that makes
Mm.
sense. I follow what you're saying
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm the same way.
I love spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I sweat.
Absolutely.
What is the number one most essential taco topping for you?
Dang. That's heavy.
I know.
That is came at you deep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Pondering
I
hard.
like it. Yeah, he's thinking.
Yeah, it really depends on the style of taco. Like,
Yeah.
No,
you know,
that's
like,
fair.
because like a truly like authentic street taco doesn't hardly have like almost like no trees, or it just has like that little grated like I forget what it's called. I don't know that I have one.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm pretty open minded when it comes to tacos.
Well, is there
Okay.
something that could ruin it?
Oh, good flip.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lola's hardcore into taco journalism.
Let's go.
Here she comes with the hard
It
hitting.
would have to be probably something like
Yeah.
weird that like maybe just there's probably some stuff that just doesn't belong on tacos, but I like
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know what that is.
Would you try like, or do you like a mango, or as you white boys say, sorry, and Nate, mango? Like, would you like a
Yeah.
mango salsa or?
I've had mango salsas that I can get down with, even like some
Yeah.
peach salsas or pineapple
Yeah.
salsas. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't know if you get down with.
I have been hesitant to try like the lingua or the cabeza, like
Yeah.
those tacos
The
that
tongue
like
taco and
those
stuff.
super authentic tacos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
that you can
that's like
find
a
in
different level.
California, like street car like taco.
Yeah.
I'm not quite there. I can't.
I'm not sure my guts
Yeah.
would like that.
Who was that last
Yeah.
week that said that was
Wasn't
his
it-
favorite La Lingua?
I
Was
think
that
it was
Terry?
Terry, yeah, Terry
Yeah, he
was
said
saying his
beef
favorite
tongue is his
tacos.
favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, so really quick story. I've never actually even shared it on this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
There's a place in Moline, Illinois called I think it's Caja Mexicana, which obviously Mexican house,
Casa?
whatever. Casa. Is it Casa Day or Casa Mexica? And it's like a super authentic, like where they barely even speak English. Like even if you go to like order or whatever, it's a super dope spot. And my homie Brandon, who was really into tacos for a long time, he was like, "Hey, let me order you something off menu," which I was like a little hesitant about. But I was like, he's like, "It's just a chalupa. It's just a chalupa." I'm like, "Okay, dope." Anyway, ended up being cow brain chalupa with basically just like a ridge of the cow brain. You could see the little like indents, like as if you were gonna draw a brain like a cartoon. It
I would
looked
just
like
to
that.
say no, thank you.
And it came out and it was like expensive. It was like off menu and it was like $15 or something. And so he was like, "Dude, you got to try it. You're going to like make them feel bad." Like the lady came out all like smiling, like, "Here you go. Whatever."
Here's the brain.
Yeah. And dude, it was dope. It was super good. I took a bite like real scared. And then I just went through the dang thing.
I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
Could you do that?
I think I could. I just don't know that I want to.
Yeah.
that's
It's whether
fair.
or not to desire. I felt kind of put on the spot because I didn't know what I was getting into. And then I didn't order it again.
And she's like staring at you, like,
Yeah.
"I bought this for you."
Yeah,
and,
like I made this. I just slaughtered the cow just for this.
Were you
slice
like,
for
were you stone sober at the time?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely. Like looking at this and like I told my homie Brandon, I'm like, it'd be different if it didn't look so brainy. But it was very like, I mean, just like
Could you at
little
least sprinkle some cheese and
That's what I said.
Right.
There was
on top of
nothing.
that?
It was like that chalupa shell, like that kind of puffy, soft, fried shell, and then just that strip
Just
of
a
brain.
hunk of
No
brain.
cheese, no salsa, no nothing, just that.
Oh my gosh.
And the
A
texture
little
was
shredded
weird, and-
lettuce.
yeah. But whatever though, dude, it was really good. So
Oh,
I don't know.
They call that.
I will
They
say
call that getting
iceberg
goat
lettuce. Iceberg lettuce is a little bit overrated on tacos.
I would agree. I hate iceberg lettuce. I don't even like lettuce on tacos because I really like cilantro a lot. So
Can I at
like,
least get like cilantro, a little, at least maybe some romaine or something like.
if you're gonna
Yeah.
do it, yeah, I agree.
a little more
same,
flavor and
same mindset
color.
there for sure. Yeah.
That's for sure. So, do you have an angler in mind that you think can really like throw down in the kitchen, maybe based off personal experience, somebody you've hung out with, or maybe even just
Yeah,
like
we never asked that. That's a
perusing
good question.
social media or anything like that?
I mean, you see some of those guys doing like the lifestyle cooking, like on their videos and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's usually all just like throwing, meat on the grill. You don't see a lot of like
Right.
things
Putting it
coming together.
Yeah.
I would say most of my fishing buddies are pretty basic. They're not that great at cooks. I'm just being real. Like, can they grill a steak? Sure. Can they
Sure.
but like, are they like putting together a meal and like,
Yeah.
building on a recipe? I don't. Nobody really comes to mind that's like.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're out there, but I just can't think of any else. I know like Pangrek always rips on Lucas saying all he does is cook steaks. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if actually like Justin Lucas can
He
actually
does
like
too,
make food
yeah.
or not.
Yeah. I mean, steak tacos.
Actually, you know
that's a good one.
who's really legit, and maybe you don't even know who Ryan Pinkala, who's like he's out of the Minneapolis area. He's buddies with Sobe and Bart and the guys at the Crappie Chronicles.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Gotcha,
I know who that
yeah.
So
is,
he is like a legit outdoorsman that is
throws down.
Like throws down. Like he's got a cookbook on like Amazon.
Whoa,
Like
that's
like
dope.
crappie fettuccine and like
Oh my gosh.
like
Yeah, you
fish.
gotta get a hold of that, dude.
What's the tortilla dish for breakfast? Like the what is that? The tortillas that are like in a red or a green sauce.
Oh yeah, like enchiladas.
No, like more of a breakfast where it's like enchilada sauce over tortilla chips, and there's like.
Yep. I know what you're trying to get at. I can't think of it.
But he had like a fish version of that.
Okay.
And like he's got all like game recipes. Yeah, like that guy knows.
Yeah,
if you're looking for somebody, look up Ryan Pinkala. Or look up
Ryan Pinkala.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
To me, the ice fishing is like completely irrelevant. And if I only watch it for the food stuff that Ryan does.
That's dope, dude. Yeah, we got to look that up then for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, we're going to jump off with our I mean, whatever. Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to jump off with our sort of, kind of, not exactly like rapid fire, but we call that one of your favorites. So we just list off a bunch of stuff. Don't put too much thought into it. That's why we didn't call it your favorite, because to narrow it down to one thing could be difficult. But we'll sort of go in order, like Nate Lola me, Nate Lola me, Nate Lola me, and just spit it out as quickly as you can.
Oh, so we have to come up with something that we want to ask him what his favorite is.
Yes.
Is that right? I just want to make sure I'm tracking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll just roll through it. So Nate, go. Let's see how you do, Rich.
All right. Favorite crankbait.
Probably a DT6.
Dang.
One of. Okay.
Oh, one of your
Classic.
favorite movies.
I'll just go Dumb and Dumber.
Classic.
That's awesome. All right. Like band or just like solo musical artist?
Probably like Aerosmith.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. That was, by the way, that was my first concert ever. I think I was 9 or 10. My mom took me to a Aerosmith concert in like Madison, and I had never smelled weed at that point in my life. And I kept asking my mom, "What is that weird smell?" And she kept on saying, "I'm not really sure." She knew. My mom lied to me.
She was like, "I don't know."
Yeah. Right. She's like behind my back hitting the bowl or something. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's too funny. Drink while fishing derbies.
Combination of water and Diet Mountain Dew.
Okay. What about a drink while not fishing derbies?
Combination of water and Diet Mountain Dew.
Okay. What's one of your favorite?
Like if I'm in the boat, it's literally like I'm either hydrating or getting a little pick me up caffeine. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What is one of your favorite things to do that has nothing to do with the outdoors?
Probably watch my kids play sports.
That's awesome.
Wait,
they're
I'm sorry,
big into
I'm cutting
hockey
in.
and soccer.
How old are your kids? How many kids?
15 and 13, 2 daughters. They're
Oh,
like, big time athletes.
That's awesome. Good for
so
them.
fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Guilty pleasures.
Besides Taco Bell?
that could be it. That could be it for sure.
That's a good one.
Probably ice cream.
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
What about finesse techniques or technique or?
I mean, I prefer not to finesse. Like that's like, the spinning rods are in the rod locker under the glass. You break in case of emergency.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd rather catch them on a jig or a frog or something like that.
But
Sounds
if you
like
have
fun.
to,
probably a wacky rig would be my go-to.
Yeah, that's Nate too. That's Nate too, for sure. You kind of already answered this, but what's one of your favorite junk foods? So maybe not like from a restaurant, but just even something to pack in the boat, chew on while you're driving.
Twix, who knows?
Yeah, Twix. Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones.
There is a lot of good ones.
It
doesn't have to be a sweet either. Okay, I was gonna say, it could be like my new favorite one is munchies, like the cheese.
I was
munchies.
gonna say that.
Yeah,
It's
I've been
so
killing
good.
those
Good
lately.
variety.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Favorite.
Yes? Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Go.
Nate.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, favorite rod that you've owned in the past or currently.
Yeah, probably my favorite. And I honestly just heard that they discontinued this rod, which is slightly alarming, but it's the Dobbins HP 705 casting rod, which is my dock rod for jigs. So little concerned that if I break mine, I don't know what I'm going to do now because,
Oof.
and I'm surprised, like, cause like I've got several videos about how this is like my jig rod and like, where are all my fans like not buying enough of these rods that we can't keep
Right.
this in production? Like, what's
Right.
going on?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, Dobbins was like, "Thanks for the video." Snip. There you go.
Yeah,
Do
you
you
know,
have-
you know a guy over there. Tell him you need a couple more before they
Do
before they
it.
get the act. So.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite gas station for road trips?
I mean, besides Quick Trip,
I mean,
I
I
was
don't
gonna
think
say
there's anything
there is a
other
right
than.
there is a right answer here. Yeah, attaboy. Yeah, that's the right answer. What's one of your favorite sports teams?
I would say my number one sports team is the Vikings.
Yeah.
Although I've gotten definitely more casual ever since Favre threw across his body in New Orleans and got picked. Like I've had to a more healthy, like take a step back from how involved I am.
That season ended pretty rough.
Yeah.
So like I was like found myself very upset for several days, and I was like, this is not. I mean, you can be a fan, but I gotta like. Yeah. So I follow the Vikings the most, but like this year, I remember going out fishing in September. Got like a late start. Got on the boat at 9. This is like in Burnsville, which is like just south of Minneapolis. So this is like a heavily metro area, and I'm like, there's just not many people here at the boat ramp. And then I'm like at noon, I'm like, I'm literally the only boat out here fishing. What's going on? I was like, it was the Vikings opener, but I completely was.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, you stepped a little farther back.
Yeah. Like it. When it's until there's ice, and if my boat's working and it's reasonable weather, I'll be fishing instead of watching football.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that next year. I'm kind of announcing it now. I think I'm going to back off of bow hunting next year just so I can fish more because I love bow hunting, but like I love fall fishing. You can.
Yeah.
I'm sick of chasing deer. I'd rather go chase big schooled up small jaws in the fall. And
what you do is you just go out and just shoot doe, put it in the freezer, and then just go fishing.
Yeah, I do need to do
Don't
that.
follow that pressure of all this big buck macho crap.
Thank
just
you.
Put something tasty in the freezer.
Yeah.
Preach, brother.
Fishing.
Yeah, get some taco fuel and then keep
That's
it
right.
moving for sure.
That's pretty well said. What's your you mentioned flipping and all that. What's your favorite flipping jig?
Yeah, probably a 3/4 ounce Bass Tech jig that we have like a screw lock built into it, and I'll put like a chunky D or a mini D bomb on there and just like cover water with that.
Yep.
You like that heavier jig better?
Yeah, like if I'm flipping a jig, you kind of need a little bit of that. I guess if I'm like, when I say, I guess I was thinking more like flipping, but like if I'm fishing docks, it's usually like a 3/8 or 1/2 ounce Bass Tech, like the Arky style jig.
Yep.
Okay.
Like I guess if I'm thinking like flipping, then it's more that 3/4 ounce.
Yeah.
So I guess the other one's more of a casting skipping jig, I guess, in my mind.
I follow you.
Right.
What about swim jigs?
I will say that to me, the best swim jigs come from the greater upper Mississippi region.
Okay.
Like whether it's the Lethal Weapon or the Bavarni or the
Bavarnis
Super K, or I think
Super
probably
Ks are also
I
dope.
wasn't familiar with the ones you guys are talking about, but they're kind of made from that same vein of like and style. I'm a big fan of these smaller batch hand tied swim jig style. I'm not a huge fan of the all-terrain Outcast dirty jigs, which are these more full hook, full skirt, like they're more like the Alabama South type flipping or swim jigs, and I'm much more keen to the upper Midwest, Mississippi River Super K. And then All Terrain actually came out with, or not All Terrain, Arsenal came out with one this year. Actually, Dan Fabiano, the guy that owns Arsenal, is a big swim jig guy, and it was kind of a passion project for him to come out. So they just came out with their 1/4 ounce and 3 ounce swim jig, and it definitely is a fish catcher. And the first couple times I caught a couple of big pike and dogfish on it, and it held up. So like I feel like it passed the test pretty good.
That's it. That's the test for sure.
That's it. Yeah, man. I'm pretty much exclusively. So like with Giltech, I just have to contact him and say, hey, I need this many swim jigs, whatever. And he's always like, what weights? And I'm like 1/4 ounce. Just when it comes to swim jig, almost exclusively, I'm throwing 1/4 ounce. I don't know if you're in the same vein, but I just think that's pretty much the juice.
Most
pretty much all the time.
Like a 1/4, like the Super K, I would throw in a 1/4. But I feel like the swim jig that Arsenal came out with, they're like the way he did it. It was like the full hook and jig weight versus like the head. So I feel like their 3/8 is very comparable to somebody else's quarter, because the other people are putting a 1/4 ounce head on a hook.
Plus,
whereas like Dan's 3/8 is the hook and the head weigh 3/8.
That is different then,
His 1/4 ounce is more like a 1/8, like in other people. So I've kind of gravitated to the 3/8 in the arsenal.
I got you.
Okay, so with the, I'm going to sound like a real noob. So with the weights and things, is it a feel? Is it what you can do with it? Is it how I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, you want to answer that, Rich? There's a whole bunch of.
Yeah, go ahead, give it to him.
Yeah.
It's typically like how fast and the cover. So where do I want it positioned in the water column, and at what speed do I want to move this bait? So a 1/4 ounce, I can fish higher and slower.
Okay.
Whereas a 3/8 or a 1/2, I can get it deeper and faster. So kind of depending on the mood of the fish, the cover, the water clarity, like how good of look do I want the fish to get or not to get at it. Also could be the size and the bulk of my trailer. So like you could say like a 1/4 ounce swim jig with like a straight tail 5-inch or 4-inch like Yamamoto or Kalen scrub will fish the same as like a 3/8 ounce jig with like a chigger craw on it. Right?
So do you just know this from like experience and like just trying different things, and you're like, oh well, this is the same as this, so I'll just do this. I prefer.
Yeah, you kind of get to understand that like a certain, like, just think about it like in the simplest term, like a grub, which is like a Senko, right? Almost has no drag on the water. It's going to have very little resistance, whereas like something big and flappy like a Strike King Rage Bug or a Chigger Craw has a lot of flapping motion.
Yep.
It's going to slow the movement, right? Like there's more drag on that bait. So
yeah,
it's
that makes sense.
Lift and be slower, whereas something that has very little resistance is going to get down deeper, easier.
Okay. That was really helpful. Thank you.
Kind of like a parrot, right? Like something with a bunch of appendages and arms is going to be more like a parachute in the water.
Yeah.
Whereas like a Senko, is like a rock. It's just going to cut right through it.
Yeah, and depending too on like what you're using on the trailer, I find with like a 1/4 ounce, like if I'm using like you said, like a Senko on the back, or what's that new Rapala Crush City deal? That one with
the
just
Mayor?
like the May. Is that the one? Is that the one?
Are you talking about the straight tail one?
Yeah. What is that thing called? I always forget. It's something funny. Anyway, but if you throw something like that, or if you
we'll just call it a spunk shad.
Yeah. You
Very
call
similar.
it. Yeah. Or if you take like one thing I've done forever before this like whole Demiki craze is take a fluke and just cut one side of the tail off. So it's just that little twitch. Anyway, if you do that, cut off the belly of the fluke. So it's just a really sleek, you can get it through a lot of stuff on a swim jig that you just can't really throw anything else. Like without like a vibrating jig comes through stuff pretty well. Spinnerbait comes through stuff pretty well, depending. Obviously, like a straight rig Senko weightless, you can get through absolutely anything. But a swim jig, there's times you can really just cover water and just pull it straight through stuff that anything else is going to get hung up on. And so the weight makes a big difference there, because if you're throwing like a 5/8, it's going to get deeper in there and get more crap on it. And I don't know.
This was great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's fun.
So the people that are watching later on YouTube, you can put in the comments what we can't remember.
Yeah, we can put
the name of the Rapala
freeloader.
Right, freeloader.
And actually, the dish I was thinking of,
I don't know where that came from.
Chilaquiles. The chilaquiles, right? Isn't that
chilaquile? Yeah.
Yeah, the tortilla dish. That's like the breakfast dish.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
That's it.
Another one that gets. What is that? What jig is that? Is that a dirty jig?
No, it's just a handmade.
Oh, that's that one that your boy does.
That 1/4 ounce, that smaller
gill.
head.
Yeah, super good looking jig for sure. It's another super slept on, like I don't think it's Mexican, but it's like a Hispanic food. Is empanadas. Oh, yeah. Empanadas are the dopest. I've had those with fish when I was in Argentina. That was incredible. All right, back to one of your favorites. We're on the jig kick. What's one of your favorite vibrating jigs?
So there's two that I throw mostly, and it's the Jackhammer or the Z-Man Custom, which I think is a Tackle Warehouse exclusive, but it's a pretty good. I think it's only like $8.99 or $9.99 now. This year, and they came out late in the year, the Z-Man Evo,
that new Evo,
yeah,
which is like an $8.99, $9.99 bait, looks to have most of the properties we want in a Jackhammer. And then also, they Packers muffed a punt. But anyways,
what happened?
Stop it.
Anyways,
mean.
And then there's the another one that just came out, which is like $1 less, is the XPS Bass Pro Chatterbomb.
Right. Chatterbomb. I haven't seen that.
And that's like $1 less, but that doesn't have a hand-tied skirt where the Evo does.
Yep.
So I've bought a couple of these. They look pretty good. They passed the eye test, but I didn't get them early enough to get out and fish them. So I'm excited to go out and do some testing this spring to see if these like half-price chatterbaits can fill that void and be a legit contender.
Yeah.
You throw the Mini Max at all?
I have a little bit. I've caught a few fish.
Yeah.
To me, the Mini Max, the when I reel it in and how it feels more like a 1/4 ounce lipless crankbait or like a lipless rattle trap.
Sure.
It doesn't feel like a chatterbait. Not saying that it's not good or doesn't work, but it's got a different. I see that as more of like a pressured or like a cold water bait, maybe. I don't know. I haven't thrown enough and have enough reps with it to really say.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
So I'm kind of anxious to try these new ones this spring.
Yeah.
And do some videos on these new chatterbait alternatives.
Is there a more versatile bait type than a chatterbait? In terms of like how many, like through the year, I feel like you can throw it from like ice out to ice in.
You can.
I mean, you can throw anything, but I just feel like a chatterbait. I don't know. Yeah, that's Lola's favorite thing to throw as a jackhammer.
Yeah, but I think it's just a regular jig is more versatile.
Maybe
because like if I'm on a really good swim jig bite, I'll put on a swim jig. But there are a lot of times where I will put on like a 3/8 ounce Bass Tech flipping jig, and I will flip it, I'll skip it, I'll drag it, I'll swim it, and I'll try a lot of different things. And if the bite evolves, then maybe I'll dial in and go something more. So yeah, I think just and like I can take that jig, I can give it a finesse haircut. I can put a little small speed crawl or menace scrub on it, or I can bulk it up and put something big with a rage bug on it and do a lot of different things with the jig. And the jig is nice. I just think it does a little more than a chatterbait, but a chatterbait is also one of those versatile baits. You
ever flip a chatterbait?
No,
nobody
but I've
does.
heard about people do it. And I know that it is a thing that people do.
Yeah, nobody.
But I haven't gotten into that.
Yeah, right on. All right, sorry. Keep going.
But I also think like I've had a lot of people on my stream ask me, why is Z-Man coming out with these like $8 and $9 chatterbaits when they're selling the fire out of $17 chatterbaits, right?
Yeah.
And I think my assumption is their partnership with
Evergreen
is probably coming to an end.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually an evergreen bait that is sold in the US as Z-Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think they stand to make more money by selling their own bait. Like they're probably going to make just as much money on a solo $10 chatterbait than they are splitting it with a $17 evergreen. I also think, from what I've heard, is the chatterbait patent may be up in the next year or two. So I think Z-Man is getting themselves positioned in that $7, $8, $9 range.
Yeah.
Because if they wait to do that until after it comes out, then everybody and their brother is going to have
be on top of them.
$8. So if they cannibalize their own market,
that makes sense.
Lock up the $8 market,
that's a good point.
All the Me Too's will have a hard time breaking in if they've already. So
I can't believe they're even a company anymore. Ever since the Slobber Knocker came out, because I mean, boy, that's a joke. I'm sorry, that's a joke. Sorry, I think that was like the
just want to sleep on the Thunder Cricket like that.
The Thunder Cricket, boy, or the old. You remember the old Strike King chatterbait where it had like that blade with like the little kind of weight blade on the bottom? Yeah, the Rage Blade. Yeah. That actually caught some fish on that back in the day.
Some people said the Rage Blade was really good poison. Wood. That's
pure
different.
Poison. Yeah,
the pure poison, I think, maybe was infringed and it had to go away.
Okay,
and then they came back because the Thunder Cricket is actually licensed correctly, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, Thunder Cricket and like the Slobber Knocker, obviously two separate companies, two separate parent companies, separate whatever. But yeah, I remember the Slobber Knocker coming out with the design that it came out with because they couldn't do what they wanted to because of the copyrights and patents and all that. It's kind of like when Minn Kota came out with the Raptor, and they're like, it's a totally unique product. And I'm like, I think they're dope, but it's really not a totally unique product. You were just waiting in the wings for that to fall off so you can make your own version of it. But you know, that's capitalism. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, Nate, ask a couple more of these. You know what? Forget it. No more of these. Let's bump. these favorite things to do are awesome, but we're going through them so long. Let's jump over Nate and Lola, Rich.
Okay.
Let's jump to podcast questions.
Let's
And
do
what
it.
this is, Rich, is our opportunity to get your insights on like your own podcast and even just podcasts in general, because we're loving what we're doing with our podcast and we're having fun with it, but we're not you know, the end all be all kings of it. We're still growing as we're learning more and more about it. And so I love having people like you on, having people like serious angler guys on who are, you know, who've paid their dues and continue to pay their dues, and they're learning as they go as well. But yeah, let's ask some podcast questions.
Yeah. So you touched on it a little bit kind of earlier in the podcast, but when exactly again did you start the podcast, and kind of why did you want to go that route?
Yeah, so I think it was like April 2020 is when I started the live streams, and I really started the live streams, like I said, as a kind of an outlet at that time when we were in the shutdown, and then also for watch hours. And I don't think I don't remember exactly when I started converting it to MP3s, but I just kind of thought that would be a way to extend the audience, and maybe because like I guess I've always been kind of YouTube first, and then the podcast, like converting it to an audio only MP3 podcast has always been kind of like a secondary function for me.
Okay.
I do consume a lot through MP3, and so that's why I've always, you know, whether I'm driving or, you know, graphing in the boat or driving to a tournament, like the podcast has slowly eroded the radio for me. So I just thought as another way to like get more reach by converting those live streams into podcast format.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting insight to know you started video and then went to the audio side of it.
What podcast do you listen to?
Say like heavy in my playlist that I listen to most of them. Bass Talk Live, Luke Duncan, former guest.
Yeah.
That's actually the one that I actually watched first for you guys.
Okay.
Which was a good show. Nice job on that one.
That was a good one.
Yeah, we had some bad audio gremlins on that one, but yeah, Luke's still a stud. He was just so authentic.
And then like I've been pretty. Teal is probably one of the Bass Galaxy, one of the newer ones that I've been more into. I dabble in some of the other ones. Like I do catch some of like Serious Angler. What is the Bertrand's podcast?
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, obviously I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Do you listen to any
Happy Hour?
Do you listen to any non-fishing stuff? Like, do you listen to any funny stuff?
Not much.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff that I watch or
murder
listen
stuff
to outside of fishing is like YouTube content.
Okay.
Like stuff about doing content, YouTube. A lot of that stuff, not that stuff I don't digest as much like on an MP3. I more watch the videos or the live streams and stuff on YouTube itself.
Yeah.
Shout out to YouTube Premium. If you don't have that, that's a really good way to like get content, because then you can like turn your screen off and listen afterwards. But that's probably my wife is super big into like the murder crime podcasts, which I just assume is a ploy to like know how to get rid of my body when she needs to.
And you're okay with that apparently, because you're still with her.
I've listened to it. I just like, for me, it's like I don't feel good or happy after listening to those.
You're like,
they're like, oh no, but they caught him. Like, yeah, but they killed 17 people before they caught him.
That's really icky stuff.
It's not a like feel good story for me.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I like murder mystery podcasts, but I have to like I drive a lot like to central Wisconsin, 5-ish hours round trip, whatever. I can't listen to like a murder podcast there and all the way back.
But
like,
then he'll come home and be like, dude, this guy, he did blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, ew, I don't want to hear any of that.
But it has to be because he's right. I agree with Rich. If it's too much, I feel very like, bleh. Like that was, But I got turned on to this Canadian true crime one by Gussie. And a lot of those are like really, really old. And I don't know why that somehow makes it feel a little less icky, because it happened in like the 30s or something. But Yeah. So, what were some of the things, Rich, that you learned about podcasting, or maybe not even just podcasting, but content creation, maybe from like the early days of Hellabass? Like, kind of specifically, did you mess anything up or do things wrong and learn from that, or how did that all pan out?
And I think you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot to be said for. I think the biggest mistake is just not like getting in your own way or being nervous. Like, I think
Sure.
you literally have to get your reps in, just like anything else. Like, if you're going to learn to skip docks, you're going to have some backlashes and you're going to hit some pontoons. Like, that's just the way it is. Like,
the loudest sound in history.
Creating content is the same way. I think there's some experts like you got to make 100, crappy videos before you're going to like make a good one. Like, and as long as you're getting like 1% better every time you make a video, then just make them and create the content. And I think don't be afraid, make the contents, and then just learn from everyone you do. You're going to have ones with bad, and same with podcasting, right? I'm sure if you go back and listen, I haven't listened to your full body of work, but I'm sure you guys go back and listen to the first 10 episodes you did. And you're like, oh man, I can't believe I hemmed and hawed, or I can't believe our mics were that bad, or I can't believe we sounded like that, or I can't believe we, or whatever, right? Like, as long as you're getting like 1% better every time and learning, it's a journey and it's a progress. And there's some people that their personalities and their storytelling, it comes more natural and it comes quicker to them.
Sure.
But I think we all have to go through that journey if we're interested, and you really find out whether you like it or not. There's a lot of people that go out and buy GoPros and they record it and then they make a video and go like, that's a lot of work. I don't think I really like this. So it's all part of that. And then I think today, if you want, I don't know, I don't really know a ton about the podcast space. Like I said, the podcast space is more like a secondary function for me.
Yeah.
But in the YouTube realm, packaging is everything. Or it's almost like how you title and thumbnail your content is as important, if not more important, than the content itself.
Totally.
Okay.
I mean, our
Like,
kids
you
would
can
attest to
have-
that. Like, not that one,
true.
not that one. That one looks weird.
Absolutely
Okay, let's try that one.
banger Guests and interviews and content and the best mics and ask the coolest questions and have the best storytelling. But if you can't put the presentation together of the thumbnail and title, if nobody clicks on it, nobody ever knows how good it is.
Sure.
Totally.
And do you mean that? Let's get specific. Do you mean that? And this is not a diss whatsoever, but I think most people would agree. Like, Milliken has some pretty like clickbaity titles and like thumbnails. I mean, is that what you mean by that? Like, would you say that he's doing it well, or?
Yeah, I think it's not clickbait if you deliver.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a good way to look at it.
Now, I think you need something that's clickable. You have to have something that drives curiosity or intrigue or stops the scroll to get the click.
Yeah.
Like, literally the days of just saying episode 12 interview with Jay Yellis is not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to stop the scroll.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, you have
Stop
to be
the
like,
scroll.
and you have to come up with something that fits your style, something you're comfortable with, and something you can deliver on. But you kind of have to, like, and I think you've seen that with my live streams, right? They're rarely ever titled like episode 364 interview with Gary Dobbins.
Yeah.
If there's usually like a question or a statement or something in the title that makes you go, oh, and at least think about it and subscribe. And then maybe the thumbnail converts you to click it. And then you typically want to deliver and give feedback on that title and thumbnail in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So that when somebody clicks on it, they're getting the validation that I'm in the right
so
spot
well.
and I clicked on the right spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good insight.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense for sure.
It does. Yeah.
And if you can carry somebody through the first 30 seconds, you can usually get them through a good chunk of a video or a stream or a podcast.
Yeah.
At least on the video side.
Yeah. Huh. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So according to explodingtopics.com, as of September of this year, there were a little over 3 million different podcasts worldwide.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, just fishing podcasts, right?
Yeah,
It seems
seriously,
like
feels
it for
like
sure.
it. Sheesh. Yeah.
But what makes a podcast good enough to stand out? What is it?
Ooh, I think the podcasts that I like the best are the ones that blend personality and for entertainment, information, and all together.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that can kill a podcast, right?
Sure.
Like you get some bad audio or some click in or some weird things like that. I know there's been some like guests and topics, and it might just be like one episode. Like, I'm not saying I'll never go back and look, but like I might just like skip that episode if it's just like too much to get through. Like I know like the Midwest Angler podcast, I've been on their podcast a couple times, and there are a couple guys from Iowa, and they talk like college sports and ice fishing and outdoors and like Northwest Iowa. But for a while, they had an issue when they had Gus on the phone. There was just like this clicking static that was just like piercing in your ears, and I was like,
yeah.
They finally got it fixed, but there was like episodes that I would just like start to listen to, and as soon as
yeah.
the guest came on, I'd just be like, "We're done with this one. I'll try it again next week."
Dang.
Yeah,
Right.
that sucks.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually one of our follow-up questions was like, does
Yeah.
audio quality matter? Because some people say it does. I mean, I think everybody admits that it does, but like some people also say in the name of putting out content, audio isn't the biggest issue, but I don't know.
I think there's a minimum bar, and once you get over that bar, it doesn't
Yep.
matter.
That's a
as
good
much.
point. Yeah, but
Right,
if it's
like,
so bad that it's distracting.
If it's so
like,
offensive, and I know like there, like we talked about Aaron too, like some of his heard stuff, you'd have like one guest like not even close to the mic, and somebody else like right on the mic, and like you'd go from like on your like your earheads or your in your car like turned up to like 20, and the next thing you know somebody else is like up here, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, like like if there's like weird sounds or clicking, or if like it's too out of balance where it's like one moment I can't hear, the next time somebody's screaming at me.
Like if I can't just focus on what's happening, like if I'm like, oh, I'm distracted by it, like, sorry, that's too much.
Yeah, I would agree for sure.
So I think there's a basic minimum bar you have to get over. And after that, I don't think you go into a $400 mic instead of an $80 mic to get like, oh, a little deeper, crisper bass. And like whether you have a pop filter or not a pop filter, that's not going to make or break, I think, your podcast, as long as you can meet that minimum audio quality.
Yeah. That's really good.
So where do you want to go with Hellabass? Like what are your goals long-term or short-term, both?
I think one of the biggest goals that I have achieved.
Okay.
So the main thing that I wanted to be able to do was to pay for my bass fishing tournaments and like my hobby, and able to afford a new boat without tapping into my day job.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a great goal. I like that.
And now I've kind of done that, and I still want to keep it going and grow and see like, hey, I want to build the audience. Now for me, it's more about building the community and just kind of like enriching where we're at. I'm not really concerned about like, oh, I want to get to 100,000 and a silver play button, or like, I don't really even think that at this point I want to try to make it full time.
Okay.
Because I feel like I really enjoy the level I'm at, and I don't have to kill myself whether I get a video every week or not. Or
sure.
Like if I miss a week of live streaming because I'm traveling for work, or it doesn't work with my kids' sports, I'm not like. But like if I had to feed my family with it, like that's a different level. And I think that stress of like putting out content and the amount of editing that I would have to do might kill it for me, to be honest. So I'm at a pretty good spot where it's a nice symbiotic relationship where it works well with my tournament fishing, and I can balance it, and it's profitable from that standpoint.
Yeah.
But I'm not dependent on it, and I'm pretty good with that spot.
That's pretty comfy.
Yeah. You have some really good insights here. I like it. And
I'm working with people that I enjoy working with, and I don't have to feel like I have to chase things just to make a buck.
Right. So I always think of Wayne's World when they like sell out and then they have like the fake basement studio and they have to bring on guests that they don't care about. And like, it's sort of funny, but it's also sort of like an archetype for how it actually works. Whereas if you sell your soul and you're obligated for all these weird things, and I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. Like at this point I can like have guests on that I want to have guests on. I don't
Yeah.
like, sure. Do I consider having people on that people are interested? Yes. But like, I don't feel like, oh man, like I got to go have Randy Blockett on because everybody's talking about Randy Blockett right now. Or I got to go have this guy on because he's the hottest thing in the world. Or I got to go have Jacob Fouts on. Like, do I want to I don't really know if I want to talk to Jacob Fouts. I'm not going to worry about it. Like, I'll let everybody else talk to Jacob Fouts.
That's
I mean,
fair.
not saying there's anything wrong with that, but like, I'll just have, somebody else on that I want to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I like that for sure.
So for what you do podcast wise, where have you seen like your most engagement? Have the videos done considerably better than your audio stuff, or is it pretty even mix, or what do you see?
I would say on average, my video is still 4 to 5x bigger than my podcast.
Oh wow. Okay. And do you think
so
it's because that's where you started?
That's what I was just going to ask.
I think it's because where I started and where I built my audience, but I also think, like you said, sometimes I don't know if you guys think this, like you do listen, it sounds like an MP3 to mine sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
There's probably the way I run my show, there's probably a little bit of FOMO. Do you ever find yourself like going over and watching the YouTube replay?
Yep.
So I think that's part of it. Just there is a component to my live streams that are visual, especially when we do like the unboxings, or we're talking baits, or we're showing things. There's a lot of things or I'm showing like tournament results on my screen, or like showing screenshots of a map, or there's a lot of things that we do visually that I think the best experience for my product is on YouTube, whether it's live or in the replay. But I still think there's a lot of value to listen to it passively down the road. And that's why I do put it out as that secondary platform.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Plus, I guess I understand more about how, what do you want to call it, the algorithm, or how YouTube works.
Yeah.
And YouTube is a great platform for growing an audience.
Sure.
Once you understand what your audience is and you create content for your audience, YouTube is very good. And their systems are unbelievable for getting your content out for more like-minded viewers and audience. And they will give you the impressions if you're putting out good content and good packaging.
Sure.
I don't really other than I don't know how much recommendation on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or is it more word of mouth or review? I've not gone into that to really understand how you grow a podcast. And I haven't spent much time trying to grow the podcast. It's more just like a auxiliary outlet to what I do on YouTube.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think that the metrics are easier tracked on YouTube versus social media, podcasts, whatever? Because I found and I'm not an expert on the level you are, but I found that YouTube lays it out pretty black and white. Like, your viewers didn't engage with this video as well because you launched it at this time versus if you would have waited till this time or whatever. Do you find that to be a thing? Because I really like that meat and potatoes, like the knowing, like the objective,
I think there's a lot more data available. On YouTube, like the analytics and data that you can go into is really impressive for what they give you. Like, I've only looked at my Spotify, and it seems like there's barely anything to even look at or analyze in Spotify, or so. Maybe there's a way to get to it in the data, but yeah, to me, YouTube gives you everything you need: tools, analytics, stats.
That's great. I don't know that I knew that.
Yeah.
You think part of that's because there's so many options for the podcast, the audio version, whether it's Spotify or iHeart, or
different
Apple,
platforms.
or like everybody who listens to a podcast, you talk to 10 people and you'll get 8 different answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I honestly don't understand enough about podcasts and how. I don't know if there is some place that tracks all that stuff, or there is a way to aggregate it. I have no idea.
Yeah. Nice use of the word aggregate. That was good. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I definitely haven't studied the MP3 audio podcast game like I have YouTube.
Which makes sense if that's secondary to you.
So you make a lot of videos, like lure stuff and industry stuff, boat stuff, all of that. Do you have a lot of things?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite video to make, to focus on, maybe?
Yeah. Like a favorite style. And are you shooting and editing all your own stuff still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much do everything myself. If there's anybody interested in getting a part-time gig as an editor, I'd love to talk to you. If you want to grow with me, I'd love to find somebody to be helping me edit. So, but
his name's Jordan. He's right here.
My favorite probably videos to create are my tournament videos, even though they are not the ones that necessarily probably grow the channel or get the most views.
That makes sense. Sure.
But I do think my hardcore audience really likes the YouTube, like the tournament videos, but they're not for everybody.
Okay.
So they are kind of just like almost like a little nugget or treat for my base, or like the really people that are really into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think to some degree, I also feel like it gives a certain amount of credibility to my other content, because I have had pretty solid success in tournaments. I do. I mean, I'm not dependent on Brandon Polnick or anything like that, but like there is like enough success in my tournament videos that it, like when I make a bait tip video or when I'm talking on stream, if somebody else has seen my other content, they're like, okay, this guy he's
legit.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He has some credibility. He's had some success.
Yeah.
So there is a component to that where there's as many as Nate says, there's 3 million podcasts. I don't know how many like YouTube channels there are. There's way more than that.
Right.
But
yeah.
There's nothing preventing anybody from coming up and just saying,
being a YouTube
hey,
expert.
this is Joe's Fishing or whatever, and like I think this worm is the best, or like this tip, and like listen to me. But and they may know a lot, they may not know anything, but if somebody wants to dive into my library and like check the facts, they can see that I am somebody that has some credibility.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I used to work for a race car parts company in Iowa called Motion Raceworks, and through that I built some relationships. There's like a guy named Derek from a channel called Vice Grip Garage, another feller from Roadkill. His name's Finnegan, and these are guys who like the meat and potatoes of their content is car building stuff. And every once in a while we would do race stuff with them, and they would do the same videos, but just at races, and it would get like 1/10 of the engagement, even though it's the same dudes, and they're basically taking the stuff that they built to the race track, but their other stuff, their meat and potato stuff for that group of people who watched it was so much more specific. Does that make it like a niche thing? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it that you have to find like your really specific wavelength, and that's where you get best engagement?
I probably honestly could have more growth if I would be more focused on something.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm not, if my goal was to get to like 30, 50, 100,000 and grow fast, it would probably be like picking a category. Like I'm only doing bass boat reviews and walkthroughs, or I'm only going to do tips and like tackle and that kind of stuff. But I've just kind of make a personal decision. That's not my goal.
Right.
Like grow. I'd rather build out a community and just have and kind of enjoy it. And I mean, like the riches are in the niches.
It seems that way. Yeah. Do you, I mean, you're obviously pretty intelligent, and you're obviously pretty focused on some of the metrics and those kind of things. Do you know what your bread and butter is in that world? You don't have to tell me what it is, but do you know like what your most engagement?
I think the videos that perform the best, that drive the most subscribers and get the most views, are more like tip and review type videos.
Okay, sure.
Which are literally the easiest videos to make and edit, because they're literally like studio videos.
Yeah.
The ones that take the most effort and are the passion ones are the fishing and tournament and on the water videos that have like multiple angles of GoPros, and like what, you know, you're combining like, you know,
put some effort on it.
8-hour tournament day with 2 cameras running, filling up multiple 256 gigabyte cards, and then splicing all that together to tell a story on the water in a way that like keeps it moving engagement. To get somebody through an 18-minute tournament video takes like 10x the time it does like a how to rig a Senko video.
Well, I like that.
I have like a, you know, a wacky band wacky rig video that has like 100,000 views on it.
Wow.
And it probably took me like an hour to make it.
But that proves though, like that proves your integrity and the fact that you're not just like a culture vulture. You're not just trying to make money off it. Otherwise, you'd have a whole bunch of, and you see it too, right? Like you see it on YouTube. Like a dude will have success in a really sort of like you said, niche specific. Like, will this wacky rig work better than this wacky rig? And then their next video is like, will this crankbait outfish this crankbait? And it's like, dude, come on, dude. Like you're only doing this for views. Like now you found your little like whatever, and you're just sort of like replicating it. Like you're stealing from yourself essentially. I hate that kind of stuff.
I mean, but you have to do some of it, right? Like you have to like pay attention to some amount of trends and stuff, like, but you also have to do it in a way that like, so I have been like doing some videos about like the BPT, and I did a video about Jacob Fouts, but I try to do it in a way that is like, bring something unique, a perspective, a different angle to it. Like I broke down like the BPT change for when they announced the cut from 80 to 50. I literally like went back and created spreadsheets for the last 5 years, calculated my own AOI standings, and broke it down like who's going to be on the cut line, who's not, and showed the spreadsheets and walked through it.
That's
versus
dope.
just like, whoa, what's Boyd doing? He's killing the sport. This is terrible. No, it was actually like actual valid information. And, like, bringing a fresh perspective to it.
Yeah,
and that video is actually done really well.
Your Jacob Fouts video was spot on too. I like that one too. But your Jacob Fouts one, where you weren't necessarily like a jerk, like you weren't rude, but you were like, well, dude, this is kind of how it works in terms of like what's the value, I think is the word you kept on repeating, like what's the value you bring for your sponsors. And because that was a pretty polarizing deal. Is either like, oh, finally somebody said the truth, or somebody was like, well, yeah, man, this is how
get a real job.
Yeah. It was very polar, and I thought you had a sort of like you said, sort of a unique take on it. Yeah, you had a unique take on it of just like, dude, this is kind of how it works. Like it's no diss, but let me ask you this, Rich. I think I said this earlier, but when I first started following your stuff, I immediately liked you. I kind of trusted the things you've said like right away. Like you just have this sort of like sincere vibe.
It's the beard.
But Rich, it might be. But if I can get kind of serious for a second, I hate visors. Why do you do that to your hats?
It's honestly like a normal hat doesn't fit my head.
Is that what it is?
It's really like
solely out of necessity.
Like, if I like have a hat, like it like would sit like that high on my head. Oh, like pressed all the way down.
This is hilarious.
That's awesome.
You're so
you're
funny.
Cutting the top off so to let your head out?
Basically.
Okay.
Plus it's like way more functional in the boat. Like I don't have my sunglasses here, but like have you ever like set your sunglasses on the front and lost them because they flew off?
I have actually, yeah.
Well, if you tuck it in the top of your hat and the visor, you're never losing sunglasses.
It's functional.
Dude, this is awesome.
When you're running down the lake,
you
just throw it over your arm like this.
Yeah.
You throw it over the throttle, that thing's not going anywhere.
Oh my god.
And it looks good. So
dude, so we have
Jordan, I understand not everybody has the swagger to pull off a visor.
That could be it too, yeah. Or they're not college football coaches.
But now my visors are all regular hats that just have been modified.
You just
like, I don't really wear like regular visors. Like
do you have a bunch of those? Like what's on your head right now? Do you have a bunch of those?
Mm-hmm. There's like my pickup's got like 8 of them on the dash.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
He just puts them all on his arm.
Awesome.
This is our title for this video. Something about poor fisherman makes his own visors. Is Rich the way of the
cutoff
future?
Hat the new fanny pack?
Yeah, something clickbaity, but like practical.
Plus, when you put your hood up when you're fishing, it fits way better over a visor than it does a hat.
Yeah, that's probably true. And you have a really we have Chad Pipkins coming on. He was supposed to be on last week, but then we had COVID, and so we had to reschedule with him. Whatever. One of the things we're going to ask Chad Pipkins is about his hair game because he's sponsored by a salon. He has really nice hair. You have a really full head of hair, Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I have a receding Forrest Gump hairline. So if I wore the visor, I would just get burnt up, dude.
You should be wearing a sun hoodie, so your hood should always be up anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
See?
Plus, in the summer, it's a little cooler. When you go down the lake, you get a little air conditioning, and then when you get back to your spot, you throw the hood up.
He's got it figured out.
He does have like a science
and
to
go
it.
into full sunglass mode, and you can see the stumps and the docks and the milfoil.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Dang.
This is a method. This ain't just for a look. It's functional.
We need some tackle and tacos visors.
This is awesome. I'm gonna we just need regular hats.
He's rethinking things. Jordan's like,
so I feel like
this year I'm gonna try one and we're gonna win.
What'd you
feel
say,
like the
Nate?
next how-to video. I feel like the next how-to video is how to cut the perfect hat.
Yeah.
It's
how to
out there.
cut the
You just
hat into
haven't
a
looked
visor.
for it.
Yeah.
I've got
Okay.
2 of them.
Oh, do you really?
I'm gonna go look.
Dang.
That one
Awesome,
was not a viral hit, believe it or not.
Shoot.
A viral visor hit. Yeah, we should like, because you're only a couple hours from us. I should like come up to you. We'll bring like some cinematic film equipment. I'll do it like in slow motion, like a master class, like with like really moving symphonic type of music. And he's like cutting in slow motion, like putting it on, and the next shot's like pulling out like a
Shaking his
double-digit
hair.
bass. Yeah,
That'd be good.
this is gonna be good. I like this
That'd be
right
so
now.
good.
Yeah.
And I'll be in the background just eating a taco.
Perfect. In slow motion. Nate, you're up. I think. I don't know. We're so off our schedule. I don't know where we're
Yeah,
Our schedule.
yeah.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, so in terms of we've been talking a ton about the podcast stuff, obviously, on the podcast. When it came to like booking guests, did you ever kind of struggle doing that?
that's a
Was
good
that
one.
like an early struggle for you, or something that you kind of still have struggles with?
Yeah, I think there's that is the most difficult part is the planning. And then I always feel like I'm like inconveniencing somebody. Like it'd be nice if there was just like people like out there like with their hands up being like, I want to be on podcast. That's me. Like you just don't know. Like you said, I'm sure when you guys reached out to like Jay last year, like, I don't know, is Jay Ellis do podcasts? Does he even want to like come on our show? Like, I think in the end, most people are up to it, but there's always a few people that like literally never reply, and you're like, oh,
okay. Cool.
Like, oh, you're that
like,
kind of person.
Yeah,
okay.
Like there's a few of you in the fishing industry that are big enough that you can allow yourself not to reply, and it probably doesn't matter. But those are probably the people that don't. And then there's other people that literally don't get back to you. It's like, I don't know, you may not know this, but you're not big enough. You shouldn't be turning down any interviews. Like, the fishing's not that big. Like, you guys should all be trying to get as much media as you can.
Yeah. You should not be burning bridges right now. Right. When we first started reaching out to people, Gussie responded back like instantly. Like of all the people that we like hollered at, like right. And that was when we were like 3 episodes in. He's like, yeah, sure, that sounds fun.
Yeah, he's
crazy.
I think I had Gussie on. It was a long time ago. I think I had him on before he even won the first Elite event.
Oh wow! From the same place that he won the Classic.
Yeah, in Knoxville.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should probably have him on deck part 2 sometime.
Yeah, he's such a cool dude, man.
So nice.
It was back ago. He was running AGMs instead of lithiums. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine how barbaric?
I can't. Yeah, how embarrassing. He also still runs Talons. I'm almost positive. So
yeah, I can see that. Like there's a case. I ran Talons on my last boat, and depending on your storage situation and intern the boat and how you put your boat away, the Talons are still a valid product.
Yeah, we still run them on our boat. I love them, but yeah. I would probably upgrade to Raptors if somebody's like, I'll trade you. I'd probably be like, okay. But yeah, I like them. I like them a lot.
A lot of those, I don't know what boat you run, but a lot of the older boats, there's not a lot of space for those pumps. They take a fair amount of room.
They do. Yeah, we have a Legend V20, so you could fit a couple in the battery compartment.
That's a nice boat. One of my good buddies that I fish with, he's got a Legend 20.
Yeah, they're sweet.
It's a nice boat.
Yeah, I like it a lot for sure.
Hold on to it. Don't be in a rush.
Yeah,
that's a boat I would consider repowering if you ever had to.
That's kind of what we're thinking too.
Pretty legit boat.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to hold on to it. The only thing I really want to do this year is upgrade the carpet. It has black carpet right now, which you would think it's really hot, but it actually doesn't get that bad. And I know like Lee Livesey and some other dudes run black carpet, but like it's kind of worn out. But yeah, I don't have any desire to get rid of it. I just want to keep it and keep rolling with it over the years. But tell us about your boat, dude. You said you have some issues with it. And by the way, that boat is a looker. That thing looks so good. The black and gray and red, and man, that thing looks good.
Yeah, nothing negative to say about the Camus. The Camus has been absolutely awesome boat. Love it. The motor did have an issue where the lower unit kind of went out to no fire. I didn't hit anything. It just, there was I don't know if it's just that kind of COVID workmanship, supply chain hangover, but there were some parts that failed inside, and it's all under warranty, but it's taken a long time. So like from October 1st to the end of the year, I've been without a motor.
Wow.
Which is unfortunate, but otherwise the boat has been awesome. Like takes big water better than I could imagine. Is it the fastest boat in the world? No, but it's still plenty darn fast.
Yeah.
I run down a lot of people that think they have fast boats. that say their boats are fast, but they don't, carry the tournament load. And the Camus has been a dream to fish. A super cushy upgrade compared to my 2005 Pantera Classic, which Bass Cat makes a nice boat. But when you go literally almost 20 years newer, things just get more comfortable in the boat. And that the ride of the Camus is just unreal.
And was that, it is, right? That was your first ever brand spanking new boat, correct?
Yep.
That's so sick, dude. God,
I've never even bought a new truck in my life.
Yeah.
I'm actually a pretty frugal guy when it comes to a lot of things, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. That's a tough sport to be in, to be frugal.
Yeah. I mean, a guy that's frugal with 30, I don't know, $200 to $500 rod and reel combos. But yeah,
right.
like you pick and choose your battles when it comes to frugality, I guess.
Yeah. Frugal here, not here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what size Camus is it? Which one are you
running? The CX20.
The CX20. Okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Which for me, I was coming from a Pantera Classic, which is like 19 foot even or 19 foot 1 inch, and a fairly narrow beam for a 19 footer. And now I'm going to a 20. I forget, is it like just under 20? Maybe it's like 20'8" or 20'6" or 20'5" or something like that. So it's a little more than a foot, a little bit wider foot. But I've always been, I fish offshore, I fish however I have to, but I like when I can to get up shallow, weave in and out of docks, get into tight places. And I just feel like the 20 footer fits my style more than a 21 footer. A little less expensive to operate, a little easier to tow. We're probably talking like deck chairs off the Titanic, but like a little more affordable to run a 20 footer than a 21.
Right.
But,
yeah. And what's the beam on that thing? It's pretty wide, right? I mean, it's.
Yeah, I don't know what the beam exactly is, but it's wide. There's so much more room on that than my old boat.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I went from a 96 Champion 190, which is real similar to that Bass Cat, that Pantera style, 19 foot, 200 horse, to a Phoenix 919. And yeah, it's a world difference, but I also wanted something in that kind of shorter, maneuverable, realm, something you could really get into shallow water, running around on the river down here. So I know what you mean.
I looked at the 919 and the CX19 both because I really was considering going with that 19.8-inch boat as well.
Yeah.
Lola and I went I don't regret it at all.
We pedal boat.
It's a pet. What
How do you
is
say
it?
that? Yeah. We pedaled and then we bought a bass boat.
That's not true.
No, we had a 99 Triton TR21, which was a really good boat too. Really good hulls, well sought after hulls. I didn't have anything crazy on it, like that one video where the guy blows up going 115 or whatever, but it was a good boat. But I love this boat. I always wanted, because Lola and I have 6 kids in our fam. And so we really wanted something that we can go out like on our little local lake that's just like a trolling motor only lake and have a bunch of the kids up front and kind of, have plenty of room. And this thing is gigantic. So
that's awesome.
It works out really well for us.
Because either that or a pontoon. So
I
want a pontoon because I think that would be so fun.
Yeah, we can have both. That's fine, but we're not. Yeah,
I don't want to get rid of it. I'm not saying that when I say I want a pontoon. No, thank you. Yeah. That's mine too.
That girl. I like it. Yeah.
So speaking of fishing, we've asked other guests this and gotten a variety of answers.
Yeah.
What separates a good fisherman from a great fisherman?
Are you talking just general fishing or tournaments?
Both, either or. That wasn't a very good answer, but
yeah,
on my part.
I'll start with tournament fishing. Tournament is much more mental. Whenever there's a lot of guys, gals, people that I know that if you're just out fun fishing or doing their own thing, they're very successful. They catch them, but you put them in a tournament situation and they fold like a cheap lawn chair. You start putting time constraints, goals, pressure, competition, mechanical failures, wind, weather elements, and it's a mental thing.
I'm anxious
largely.
Just thinking
How
about
do you
it.
react to how do you react to adversity? And whether you can stay calm and make good decisions and problem solve and things like that is what is like the biggest thing. Once you get over the like the basic mechanics of like fishing and like you can cast and do basic things, then it really becomes a mental, and like when your prop doesn't work or your motor doesn't start, or you have battery issues, or the wind blows your spot out, or somebody beats you to a spot, like how do you react? What do you do? How do you make lemonade out of lemons is what is the biggest thing for tournament anglers, and being like a good tournament angler versus somebody that is not consistent in tournaments.
That was great. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And what do you see as like another step further? What do you see as the difference from a dude who's like a local club stick and then the guy who turns pro? Because it's sort of like, I remember my dad telling me when I was a little kid, because I don't know, he's maybe wasn't being encouraging, I'm not sure, but I remember telling him something like I wanted to be like a professional basketball player, and he said something that wasn't super encouraging, but I think he's actually right. He was like, dude, the absolute worst player on any NBA team will mop up at any pickup game on planet Earth. You know, you put him in any other format and he's just like the big dog. You put him in NBA and he can't get on the floor. What's the difference between a guy who's like a local stick and can take the step to elites, Bass Pro Tour, winning the Opens?
Yeah. I think fishing's a little different because it's not an athletic thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the anglers that are your most dominant locally do have what it takes physically, mentally on the water, like a Pat Schlopper.
Yeah.
Something local to you guys, right?
Yeah, he's like 10 feet down the road from us.
He did it, right? I assume the shields you were talking about earlier is the shields that Pat worked at.
It works. Continues to,
yeah. But he did it. And when he put his mind to it and decided, hey, I am going to take this and I am going to learn how to fish in other areas and pursue it nationally. I think the biggest difference between the guys that only fish locally and the guys that do it, is its drive and the want to do it largely. And also the ability or the, somebody that's going to risk it and somebody that can go out and like take the hit. Because when you first start doing it, most of the time you're going to like take some expensive learning lessons.
Yeah.
Like when you go to new waters, a lot of times you don't necessarily just hit it off. Like the first time you go south, whether it's for fun or a tournament,
right? Yeah.
You're like, I'm fishing shad, I'm fishing reservoirs, I'm fishing like a place with no grass. Like there's a learning curve.
Yeah, sure.
And so be able to put yourself out there and make yourself vulnerable and take that risk is what separates a lot of the people that do it on the top stage versus somebody that only does it locally and who's the big fish in the small pond versus somebody who's going to chase that bigger stage.
Yeah. Do you believe in angling talent? Like, do you think you can be like a talented angler? Like, again, another comparison. Let's say, I don't know, LeBron James. He holds a basketball. I'm into drumming videos lately. There's this guy named Larnell Lewis. I don't know if you've ever heard of this dude.
Awesome.
He's an incredible drummer. When he drums, you watch this dude drum and you go, this sucker was meant to drum. Like,
and then he just stops and he's
so
like,
talented.
so that was he's like, so
he's
chill.
Super whatever. But like, do you think there's a thing like that for fishing? Like dudes, you see them fish and you're like, man, that dude was really like wired for this.
Yeah. There is a little bit like a physical, there is like a hand-eye coordination and a certain thing that incrementally makes people better at fishing. But I think what separates the elite from like the pretty good is something that's hard to measure. It's more of a intangible, like a lot of people who say they're just fishy. Like they like I know a lot of people, some friends of mine and people I fish with that like, they can like recite Bassmaster. And if you ask them a question of like, oh, when it's, it's blowing 10 miles an hour across this weed flat. And like the book says I should throw a spinner bait and like just, they know all of the stuff, but they're just not fishy. Like they don't, it doesn't happen for them. So there is a certain element to that fishing that's just like, I don't know if it's mental or just a vibe, but there is something like that's hard to quantify that separates the top level. And it's not like basketball where you're like, I can measure LeBron's like vertical and his wingspan
quite literally,
and like his like shooting percentage from the three and his like, and some of that, there's an intangible, like guys like Kobe and LeBron and whoever you want to say, they have a feel for the game
Mhm.
that's hard to explain, that like they can make that pass. They can know where their teammates are going to be. And it's the same thing with hockey or Mahomes, right? He can do these weird things and make a left-handed throw and know his
Right.
like,
Right.
there's people that have a feel for the game they play or the activity they're in. That's hard to explain. And I think it's that intangible is a bigger deal in fishing than it is just the physicality or the knowledge sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you talked about the mental element of it too. And then you just mentioned Kobe Bryant. I don't know if you've ever heard this story. It's one of my absolute favorite like competitor stories ever. Kobe Bryant was playing against, I believe the cat's name was Iman Shumpert. Is that how you say it last name? Nate, you know who that is? Iman Shumpert, isn't that right?
Yeah, he played for the Cavs for quite a while.
Yeah, he played for the Cavaliers. So Kobe goes up to him at the end of the third quarter. Iman is guarding him, goes up to him at the third quarter and goes, "Hey man, good game." And Iman goes, "What are you talking about? The game's not over." He goes, No, that was a good game. And then the fourth quarter, he put like 35 points on him, and the Lakers like blew him out of the building. And like it was just this mindset that Kobe had, like, okay, now it's over. Now I'm going to absolutely crush you. And then he actually did. And I always think, like, I see those videos of like KVD in his prime, some of those dudes like that between the ear work. Like, boy, you can't really. You know what I'm saying? Like some of that, it's hard to quantify or label. Like you said, it's hard to be like, okay, this many inches of a vertical, but like that fierce competitor mentality and the kind of willing to risk it for the biscuit type deal. I don't know. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of swagger for people that wear visors,
See,
it could be.
It could,
well, I didn't say that part of it. He said that to him. He said, "Good game," and then he put a visor on that he made himself, and then just went to frickin' town. Yeah, that was it.
It's a little bit of like, I don't really care what other people think. It works for me, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome. I think that's great,
dude. I'll try one this year,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
I'm sure there's people that have like watched my videos and gone, "I'm not listening to that guy. Look at that stupid thing he's
look
wearing
at
on
that
his head."
hat visor.
Oh my gosh, you're like, "Okay, bye."
Yeah, we'll see ya. Yeah, we'll see ya. I think we have like one more question. Nate, hit him with that last one, would you? And then we'll let you out of here, Rich. But from the bottom of all three of our hearts, before we get to it, man, thank you for doing this. We appreciate you. We know you're traveling. I know you probably want to get to bed, but thanks for jumping on our podcast, dude. For real.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just glad Lola made it this week. I would have been sad if she didn't make it this week.
Dude, no doubt.
Thank you. I'm glad to be alive.
She's brought the energy for sure.
Made it through, boy. Made it through. Just pushing through.
Push it through.
Lola, do you ever wish that Jordan looked at you the way he looks at Vision 110 jerkbaits?
Every day.
Okay.
Every day I wish that.
Dude, you know what's funny about that is in our little like Shields shopping cart, there's probably like 12, like our app, you can do like specific lists for names and whatever.
Shopping lists for each of our kids.
There's probably like 13 110s in there.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't want just one of those.
Yep.
I need at least whatever.
Yeah. And
then
then
I love looking at tackle with you.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're pretty good about it.
I do, but I don't know.
So it gets a little weird sometimes the way y'all fascinate it on like he's like.
Yeah.
Does it make you jealous?
Do that?
Lola,
yeah.
Ever?
Yes. Yeah, I get really jealous.
You're like, look at me the way you look at that perch 110 plus one. Yeah, that's something I've had to do though, right? Like since we moved here, Rich, because we've only been in Wisconsin for a couple of years, and so before that, Nate and I fished all of our derbies together, and like the dirty Mississippi, like chocolate milk waters, and so not everything, but a lot of stuff was like that real bright colored stuff, loud sound stuff, and then you get up here to the gin clear waters, and a lot of the stuff plays, but like different color patterns, like normal like perch colored things or things that just who is it that makes that killer? Is it Jackal that has just the filthiest perch pattern jerkbait? Just so stinking realistic. And so it's like I've had to sort of like evolve some of my tactics for different water clarities and whatever, and I'll just stare at stuff in the boat.
He does, and then I'll come out into the garage and be like, honey, you've been out here for a while. And I'm like, are you coming in? Dinner's ready or whatever.
And I'm usually like, dude,
and
look at this
he's like,
one.
but look at this. So if you look at the whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I see that. And he's just like, I was just out here staring at my tackle. Yeah. It's very cute.
I don't know. Yeah.
But yes, I get jealous.
Yeah. All right, Nate, go. Transition out before it gets any weirder.
So I think you hold kind of a unique perspective on this with kind of how you're tied into the industry, and with the YouTube and all that sort of stuff. Do you think there will be any rule changes to forward-facing sonar at all in the upcoming year or two of professional bass fishing?
I don't know if there's gonna be, but I can tell you that I want to see it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think front-facing sonar is going away. I don't think we're putting that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
But to me, I do think we need some standardization, some caps, some limits on like screen sizes or total inches or something. All other sport, we've talked a lot about sports tonight, right? Like all the other like legitimate sports, there's a size limit to a baseball bat. There's certain materials you can use.
True.
There's goalie leg pads can only be so wide.
Right.
Whatever, right? Like stick lengths, everything is like spec'd out to have like, golf, whatever your sport is. There are
totally
mins,
Or
maxes,
regulations,
regulations, like approved, qualified materials, right?
Right.
Like
True.
balls, like you have to get like inspected and like certified, right? So like to me, that would advance the maturity of the sport to say that we've got like, hey, you can only have 62.3 inches of graphs screens on your boat, or you can only have 5 whatever the number is. I think we have to start putting that in place to create. And then I'd like to see that a level where like, I think like 60 inches to me is plenty. Even maybe not even that, 50 inches.
Yeah.
Like 4 12-inch graphs is a lot.
It is.
I run 3 10s and a 12, and I feel like I can do everything I really need to. I can make my screens a little bigger, but like at that threshold of about 50 inches, people would have to make decisions and get creative about what they're doing, and you'd see different setups. Whereas I feel like what we're doing now, where like the sky's the limit, everybody just has like 5 or 6 16-inch units on there.
It's crazy.
It's like, there's no like, I like to see them like where they're kind of constrained a little bit, so they have to make decisions on like, do I really want 3 up front? Do I want 2? Would I rather have 2 big screens or 5, or 4 like okay size screens, or like 3 big ones and a little one, or like you'd see some customization and see people's like. And I think also like we've talked about boats. Bass boats have gotten really expensive, and this is coming from somebody that owns a very expensive bass boat.
Right.
And at some point, I think we have to self-police a little bit and like put a cap on what is considered a like tournament ready boat.
And
like what's a competitive standard, because like it's not going to get cheaper on its own. And it came back to like your original when you're in the opening, like flattening the curve a little bit here. Like I think at some point we have to like self-regulate and get like, okay, because the barrier to entry in the sport is only getting higher and higher. I mean, like you can enjoy fishing at any level you want, but if somebody really wants to get into tournament fishing, like the barrier to entry is very expensive.
It really is.
And I think to see some kind of screen limit would help start to like just rein that in and just avoid this like escalation of pricing to some degree. So that's my reasons, and that's what I'd like to see. And I don't know if it's going to happen or how long, but that's what I would like to see.
Yeah. Do you, Rich, do you care about watching tournaments where the anglers are doing this?
I mean, it's not the most engaging content to watch. As somebody that's like super hardcore, I will watch some of it and try to pick up on nuances, but also know that I am like in like the 1%er of somebody that's like that geeked out of like I understand that like 95% of people are not looking for that level of like nuance. And to them, that's not interactive. And I think to some degree that can be, there's a couple things. One, the tours need to have a little bit better. They need to like push themselves to have better coverage options, whether it's like showing the screens, giving us different camera angles, maybe going back to having chase boats that follow them and we get like an outside view, or more like back in the day. If you like, I do some watch parties on my channel, they do like more of those illustrations of like what's happening underwater. I think they need to like challenge themselves a little bit on like how they do the coverage to give more angles and make it more interesting, regardless whether it's a frog tournament or a front facing. Like I think that needs to continue to evolve. But I also think the the circuits could do themselves a lot of favor by just scheduling more interesting tournaments or a variety, right? Like,
sure, yeah.
If we were fishing, the Arkansas River, Potomac River, the Upper Mississippi, we wouldn't be seeing. Would we see some fish caught on front facing sonar? Sure, but it wouldn't
But
dominate.
it wouldn't
the
be
events.
right.
Yeah.
So they could limit the use of front facing sonar if that's a concern through scheduling.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point.
So, but also I know that's not an easy fix because these contracts for these tournaments at the top level are like 2-3 years out at a time.
Right.
So like they were putting these schedules together multiple years ago before this whole like front facing sonar backlash that's been really exciting in the last 6 months to talk about. So it's going to take them time to do that. They can't just like, oh, people aren't happy, we're going to switch our schedule all of a sudden and fish like 9 river tournaments. But I think knowing what they know now, hopefully these venues are saying, hey, we need to mix in a Red River, we need to mix in a Fort Gibson, we need to mix in a find more grass fisheries that don't have smallmouth in them. I think would be interesting.
Yeah,
like a Lake Minnetonka would be a good venue. Obviously, that there's other restraints on but that style of fishery could be really interesting.
Yeah. That was.
But at this point, I think FFS has turned into FFF, which is front-facing fatigue. I'm kind of tired of talking about it, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I thought that was a good question. Just to kind of, what are your thoughts on where it's going to go? Not so much of like, anti, all that stuff, whatever. I think our collective perspective on it is just like anything else, it's a tool. And if you really want to be good at fishing, you got to be versatile with tools, be that a heavy jig to a Ned rig to front facing sonar to know how to scan a lake to, waypoints, whatever. It's just another tool. I don't think it deserves all the hatred and the blit and whatever. I do like your idea of some regulation without just coming down like chop, it's out of here. Cause that's just not, you're right. It's just not practical. It's not feasible. To your phrase, you're not putting the genie back in the bottle. I think that's a great point. And I do fear, though, like what you said, I do fear the idea of like bass fishing becoming like a rich dude sport, because I don't think that's where anybody really wants it to go, overall. But yeah, for sure. So Nate, Lola, anything else before we let Mr. Hellabass get up out of her and get some sleep?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. That was some good insight on everything, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Thank you so much for taking the time, Rich. Thank you for being honest about the visors and fishing and videos and everything. Yeah, dude, for real.
Yeah, appreciate you guys inviting me and reaching out. It was a fun time. I always enjoy chatting, fishing, and just hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate you. We look up to you, and we will continue to tune in. So.
All right. Thank you.
All right, brother. We'll see you later.
Peace.
All right. That was the dude, man. Yeah. He was, what's interesting about that interview, if we're being honest, is I never, ever thought of him as not smart, but his insights were so insightful. Like the way that he spoke, the way that he responded to questions, the words that he chose to use.
And like I followed really well, and I'm not a fishing pro, and I understood things he was saying. I know that sounds probably
no. I get what you're saying. Yeah, because it was very insightful and very intelligent, but it wasn't like over your head.
Yeah.
Like too fishy. Like, it was just really, and I thought his answer to your question, Nate, about the forward facing sonar, it wasn't this bash fest against forward facing sonar. It wasn't the opposite. Like some dudes are saying like, well, if you're not going to forward facing sonar, it's the future. Why don't you get out, old man? It was a really balanced, intelligently articulated point. I thought that was dope, dude. Yeah. Really good. What'd you get out of it, Nate? What was your favorite moment? Don't say visors.
I was going to say visors.
Come on, that's got to be the best. That's got to be the best point. Or
dude, I will absolutely try one next year, like his style, like cut the top off of a hat, and then if I win a tournament, I'll just keep going with it.
Oh my gosh!
Right. But if I finish dead last, then that's on him.
I think it was that or the Taco Bell app. He put us on game on that Taco Bell app.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to mess with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. No, seriously though, like you said, with his insights on basically all the topics we covered, and I kind of saw it maybe going that way. I watched, the last few videos I've watched of him have been super insightful. The way he put, pivot tables together and stuff for that the AOY tournament. BPT stuff that he was talking about, like that was a really well done video, and
Yeah,
like
definitely.
you said, super articulate, and just man, just awesome dude, great interview, and that was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What a cool cat, man. So really quickly, let me breeze through our sponsors. And it's not that they're not worth the time. They are super worth the time to us.
Yeah.
And I'm super stoked. I just want to say this again. We don't go looking for sponsors. We don't go like knocking down doors. We don't go putting our hands out to companies like, give me, what's that? Was that Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
Like, money, please. Like, we don't do that. We work with companies that we want to work with, that we believe in, that we love. Giltech, we love Hook and Arrow Supply, we love Grizzly Coolers because they make really legit stuff.
Yeah.
We work with Working Class Bowhunter as a part of their podcast network because they are real dudes who we've known for years. There's not a whole lot of more people in this world that if you were going into battle, we could call Kurt, we could call Eric, and they would be there in a heartbeat. And so we are just honored and happy to be working with Grizzly Coolers, and specifically the Kenai lineup, because it's made for anglers and we're anglers. We are so happy to be working with Hook and Arrow Supply and be able to talk to people like Brian Schwaller. And when he has an idea and he's like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing this, what do you think? And we can just talk back and forth like normal humans. We're not just numbers on some little spreadsheet for all his 500 sponsored anglers. I think we're the only ones. We love Giltech jigs. We love their tube jigs. The Marabou tube jig is the dopest, smartest little deal out there. And so to be able to work with companies that we care about is pretty dope. And so if you're listening to this, if you're watching this on the YourTurb, why do I always say it like that?
Why do you always say it like that?
I just think it sounds funny.
YourTurb.
The YourTurb, just like that Key and Peele East-West game where he says University of South Florida. So I always say Florida.
Yep.
I'm not sure why.
There are certain words that you say the same.
I say fellers instead of fellas.
Yep.
That's on purpose. I don't know why.
It's cute.
I don't have like a speech impediment. I don't
cute.
think. But anyway, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to podcasts, whatever, man, like do us a favor. Go support some of these companies because they're legit companies. We're not out here endorsing XYZ company because they paid us. I watched a video recently of one of my favorite professional snowboarders ever. He's from the Minneapolis area. His name's Dan Breezy, and shout out Dan Breezy. And he was talking about one of the bigger mistakes he made in his career is when he left Von Zipper Goggles to go to this upstart company called Dye Goggles, which was actually a paintball company and whatever, but they were paying him way more. And then he went to that company because they paid him way more. And then he got on and the goggles were garbage and they went out of business in like a year, and Von Zipper was still going strong. And so he just said so openly, he's like, I would never do that again. I would never make a sponsorship deal for money. And I was like, dude, that's it. And neither will we. I don't care if it's a company that's like, hey, we want to buy you and Nate and Lola a house and whatever. If it's something we don't believe in, I'm not doing it, man. I'm just not doing it. My soul's worth more than that. So go support those people. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Make sure you do all that YouTube-y stuff, like and subscribe and comment. And if you would, check out our merch store, tacklingtacos.com/shop. Of course, we take debit, credit, PayPal, all that stuff. It works dope on mobile, works dope on a computer. I can't promise you, it's December 19th right now, so I can't promise you if you order now, you'll get it before Christmas, but maybe. Eric is on his game. Like, he ships out stuff like as soon as it comes in. So I think that's it.
Yeah. And remember that positivity is worth the effort. Bye.
Peace.
See you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you on the next one. Wave awkwardly.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Nate's both hand waving. I like that. Yeah, that was good.
Clowning.
Clowning.